What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is early National Sign-In Day, or as I like to call it, National Sign-In Day. We know nowadays that I would imagine 95% of the most elite of elite prospects, right? The players that the people tuning in today, the Georgia fans, the Alabama fans, the whoever, the Power 5 football fans, 95% of your classes, for the most part, will be done today. The only additions after this will be, maybe a couple big fish remaining in February and some transfer portal guys, right? So 95% of your work as a college recruiter or a college staff manager or anybody tasked with managing a staff will be done today. So you'll be wrapping up most of your business. And one of those biggest, literally business moves today is Travis Hunter. Now, we're going to have a multitude of guests today. Let's start with the breaking news in terms of Travis Hunter going to Jackson State. Obviously, a historic move. Now, we're going to have my buddy John Garcia on eventually whenever he gets done dilly-dallying around with whatever important stuff he's got going on right now. We're going to have him on the broadcast eventually, and I'm interested to get his thoughts because, he was a defensive back prospect, if you will, at one point in his lifetime, and I'm sure he's got quite the perspective and insight to add in on this discussion. So whenever he can get it added in, we will definitely add him in. But we've got a multitude of guests coming in today. We're going to be here for a while, okay? We're going to be here from 1 o'clock as we just started here to about 5 or a little bit beyond that, depending on how the day shakes out. So wherever you're at in your day, whether you're working or whether you're at the house or whether you're traveling from work to the house or whatever it is, feel free to hop in and out with us throughout the day. We will be here. But no, as far as this Travis Hunter stuff goes, and I don't want to spill the beans too much before I can get John in here. But we'll talk about it here in a second. Let's give you the rundown in terms of what we're doing here today. Okay. This is our Supercast. I had the random idea the other day, as I normally do, just out of the blue. I was like, it'd be cool. A 4 or 5 hour broadcast on signing day because everybody's waiting around, seeing what's going on. You're getting intel in all throughout the day. So why not just update your audience on a live stream platform, things like this. And then I got to thinking, we'll do the Supercast. But now, since I've covered most of these kids and built a reasonable relationship with a lot of them, we not only will broadcast, but we'll have interviews as well. So we're going to come in or we're going to have guys come in, drop in and out throughout the day in the broadcast. Expected to have Malachi Starks here at about 1:30 on the broadcast. So a guy I've only gotten the chance to talk to a few times, but one of the better interviews, one of the more well-spoken young men you'll ever run across in the recruiting world, one of the best football players you'll run across as well. So excited to have him at the 1:30 block, and then we'll kind of fill it out with some other big name guys as well throughout the day, including Kristen Miller, who is going to be one of the most, or rather the biggest name remaining on the recruiting landscape moving forward, right? This is a guy that is set to commit January 8th, so we'll have to wait that one out as I see my boy John Garcia join us in, so I'll get on the headphones right here and add my guy. John Garcia is our lead recruiting analyst for SI All-American. Personally, for my taste in terms of evaluation, hit rate, and general charisma, and I don't think there's any better in the business rather than John Garcia. So let's get him added in there. Johnny, my boy, how we doing?
We're surprised. We're excited. Everything. I mean, signing day is kind of our Super Bowl, and my goodness, there was a David Tyree-like play that we will never forget today. That's for sure.
Yeah, let's certainly start there, John. The most historic thing we've seen for an HBCU program, I would imagine. Before we get into what it means for an HBCU program and what it means for Jackson State and even Travis Hunter, let's talk about it in terms of how big of a moment this actually is in terms of recruiting. Is this the biggest momentum switch and kind of unforeseen storyline that we've seen in terms of the number one player in America at SI All-American going from Florida State and flipping to an HBCU on signing day nonetheless, with no tea leaves having been dropped? John, this caught everybody, I feel like, off guard here on Wednesday morning.
There's no doubt, Brooks. I think from a surprise standpoint, this is number one. And I think from an impact on what it means going forward standpoint, it will absolutely be a number one. And look, everyone is kind of self-reflecting in our business, including me, right? Like I remember when he took the visit to JSU and seeing him, interact with Shedeur Sanders, of course, Deion's son and the starting quarterback, a ton on Instagram. You just overlook those things. You're like, there's no way he's going to actually do it. And then certainly in touch with some sources at Collins Hill last night and this morning, just trying to get a confirmation of, hey,
it's done, by the way.
When is he signing? Because I got my Florida State story ready to go. He's our number one player. I have to cover him either way. And then it was a no at 8:00 and 9:00. And then there was a hesitation after that. And there was kind of a ceremony thrown together at the last minute, which again, as a reporter, you're kind of ticked off a little
suspect.
Off.
Yeah, a little suspect.
You're ticked off like, well, they didn't plan it. Now they have this thing going on. So they had to delay and stall for that. Of course, we called Travis and his phone is off, like it always is, or at least one.
He had two phones on the desk, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I have the number that must have been off. You certainly understand why, my goodness. And then you hear Florida State is starting to double down and try to figure out what's going on. And usually that's kind of the indicator when the school that is expected.
When the current committed school starts to panic.
Yeah.
They know there's some smoke or some fire rather to the smoke.
So once the panic from FSU side started, that was it. I mean, you knew you had to get to writing. I won't forget that process. But look, I got a phone call before Thanksgiving about that visit. And I was told the only tea leaf I was
kind of tipped off, just like, hey, just maybe pay attention.
The only one I got was that he was more likely to flip to JSU than Georgia if he was going to flip. But again, that really doesn't preface it with, hey, like this is a warning. This could really happen. But
all right, so
it's a new day and age, man.
Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Have you read the reports or seen the reports on what it is that he might be getting in terms of NIL deals or been promised in terms of packaging? Because this stuff, and look, I am the first person to say HBCUs, we need this. Like, this is great for college football, I think. However, I don't want this narrative to be that this is great for HBCUs. This is great for Jackson State and for Deion Sanders, for Barstool Sports, and for Travis Hunter. This is not something that is applicable to the landscape of HBCU college football. Correct, John? This is
100%.
This is simply Jackson State. This is Deion Sanders. This is Barstool Sports. This has nothing to do with any other HBCU like Florida A&M or anything like that. This is specific to Jackson State. Correct?
That's a good point. It's such a unique situation, right? Deion alone brings money, right? I mean, that was his whole brand. He was like the
money and awareness.
Money,
brand, like attention, and awareness.
Yeah, like that's his baby. Primetime was the precursor to NIL back in the day, and certainly now. So he brings a unique element. Obviously, he's at JSU, and we've seen an influx of resources there, and he's been able, because of NIL, because of the current climate of college football, he's been able to maintain all of these business deals. When he first took that job, we wrote at SI All-American about Deion's time management. Is he still going to be on NFL Network? What about Barstool? What is he doing as the CEO?
The answer is yes.
of a college program? And yeah, he's said yes to all of those things, and maintaining those partnerships leads to this. It leads to the potential to bring in the number one type of recruiter. And I think you said it best, Brooks. This doesn't affect every HBCU. It doesn't even affect every elite kid. Just maybe one in a while, when it is paired with the lightning in a bottle, stars aligning, whatever cliche you want to use, of a guy like Deion Sanders at Jackson State, or let's be honest, wherever in the world Deion's coaching, this is applicable. There's only a few guys in coaching who would be able to have that kind of financial reach and that kind of trust. And it's some of the names but Deion is certainly the newest.
John, let me run this by you. Okay, you got an independent media company in Barstool Sports getting their hands involved in a program that is currently ran by another content creator that they currently employ in Deion Sanders.
Correct.
My question is, what is stopping a Mario Cristobal at Miami asking boosters to buy them out of their TV rights deal, creating their own TV company, okay, and then privatizing and hiring their own players? You see what I'm following? Like, where does this slippery slope become? Oh, now everyone, Kirby Smart just signs a deal with the SEC network, and they start putting guys on salary. Like, where are we at? How far down the road is that? Because this is the first class of NIL, and we've got head coaches that are currently employed by companies that are going to employ their players. You see what I'm saying? Like that's a very, very fine line of, yeah, it's great. Go get your money. But there's also some conflict of interest here, correct? Some advantages that a program like JSU under Deion Sanders currently have that no other program in college football have.
100%. There's no doubt about that. And that's why today feels so monumental, because change has come, but now this is the marker, right? This is the marker in the timeline that is going to blow it up, right? One way or the other. Now everyone has to kind of reset and say, hey, where do we sit on this thing? What is right? What is wrong? What's too much? And I don't know the answer there. I would be, BSing you if I told you I did, but it certainly is going to bring this up. There's already talk of other changes coming to college football. They're talking about eliminating the early signing day, which is only like 5 years old. So they can, when they really want to, they can make changes in very short order. But it also at the same time feels like, since this Pandora's box has been opened, and I support most of it, you can't close it, right? You can't close it now.
Ever.
You've already opened it to such a degree. I mean, Texas announces a partnership with a company that's going to pay every O lineman on scholarship $50,000
a year in perpetuity.
A year, right? So you're talking $200K if you go for a 4-year degree. After that point, Texas got 3 O-line commits in pretty short order. I don't blame them one bit, but this is what we're talking about. I think this one is magnified because the dollar amount is much larger, and Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders, and it's the number one player. So it's kind of all of those things at once, but you're absolutely right. The box is open. I don't know how it starts to close, and I certainly don't know where we go from here, but it does have that feeling like this thing has changed forever. And that's why today, feels so enormous beyond it being, an always busy signing day.
All right, couple thanks, because I know you're busy, John. John Garcia here with SI All-American, covers all national recruiting over there with us on SI.com. John, what are we looking forward to? What are some big names, on the national landscape? Not just we'll talk about Georgia here in a second before we let you go, but on the national landscape, what are we looking at in terms of timetable?
Yeah, there's still some big names to come down with some verbal commitments. That 4:00 hour is looking pretty big, right? Marvin Jones, Keonta Goodwin, Earl Little, Kamari Wilson, all popping in that hour. Cam Dewberry as well. So we're going to get a lot of recruiting ranking influencer kind of decisions in that 4 to 5 Eastern window. Jahad Campbell is also in that window as well. All those guys, for the most part.
A Clemson free-for-all there late, man. That was wild to see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was talking to a source at IMG, and they said Brent Venables was there a couple days before, saying he was never going to leave. So it's sometimes it's that simple, and it could break trust in short order. You understand both sides, right? Venables can't say, "Hey, well, I think I'm going to get this OU job," while he's got the Clemson paw print on his chest there. So. It is a slippery slope with Clemson, and those guys are going everywhere. Keon Sabb went to Michigan. Obviously, Dalen Everett commits to Georgia. Jahad Campbell, we think Bama. A&M's in there as well. But it's going to be a fun finish later today between Bama, Georgia, Texas A&M for that number 1 spot. I mean, those 3 schools are going to have, by the end of it, probably more than a third of the SI-99 recruits committed to those 3 schools, and we're not even to January, February. So it is truly a separation of powers in the Power 5 and particularly in the SEC.
All right, so some stories we are watching that are currently still developing. I haven't seen or heard of any national letter of intent being turned in for Marquise Groves Killebrew. We're I think 19 players deep right now at Georgia in terms of NILs.
Is it too early to say Travis Hunter's LOI hasn't come in either?
His LOI has not been turned in yet either. So there are some things that are still yet to be determined. Kamari Wilson, obviously, in that 4:00 hour. We have no idea when or if the Marquise Groves Killebrew story will have a final date. We don't know. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I guess at this point, you wait on one of the teams to claim him on social media. Is that where we're at, John?
Sometimes,
I guess that's where we're at.
When we get to the PM hour on signing day, the numbers crunch really starts to play a role because we just mentioned so many huge names that are still out there.
And
These
spots are limited, man.
They're
tight
calling
everywhere.
They're calling and saying, hey, look, even if you're not coming, can you just let us know so that we can figure out if we do have that extra spot open or not? So there's still a lot of investigative journalism going on between these college football programs. So it's going to get pretty dicey, and there's going to be, I would assume, a group of kids who wait that were maybe planning to sign later during the day that maybe wait till tomorrow or even push the thing all the way back to February. There's always some casualties of the numbers there.
Yeah, Dare Smith pushed back all the way to February, and I believe that would be a numbers thing, right? Got to make sure you're reasonably under that 85 while you can. John, what do you got going on the rest of the day, man? Before I let you go,
I got to start working on these rankings. I was about to start it, and then all the Travis.
I loved how you compared it to election day the other day. It's like by 6:00 we know. By 6:00 the polls close. Usually we kind of have a good estimation of what it's going to look like when it comes to this class. Last question, 30 seconds or tighter, John. Mm-hmm. What class right now? Where as we sit here right now, 1:18 East Coast time on National Signing Day. What class or what team do you look at and you say, wow, that coach, that staff, considering all things, they've done a really good job?
Well, not Florida State. I think the winners column is going to start with, I think Tennessee, Georgia, A&M have all done a good job.
Tennessee strong close today.
I really like what Tennessee's doing. Ole Miss, kind of out of nowhere, really strong close as well. So the SEC is looking good. I think Florida's got some bullets left in the chamber on signing day as well. So as usual, I mean, the SEC is pretty much trending up in every direction. I kind of like what Kentucky's doing. I don't know if they can hold on to Goodwin, but their trenches are looking very SEC in this class of 2022. So I like what the whole league is doing for the most part. And that race for number one is too close to call right now. It'll probably be similar in a few hours. And I'm thinking we're going to have to take that thing all the way to February.
Well, John Garcia, the best in the business, my brother. I appreciate you for being here. We'll have Malachi Starks at some point. I was just told he's been pushed back on me because he's taking a final exam. So that's another thing you got these kids dealing with right now. National Signing Day, final exams, early enrollees. It's a crazy time right now to be a top prospect, and it's an even crazier time, it seems, to be covering top prospects. John Garcia, SI.com. Appreciate you for being here, my brother.
Be good, bro. Have a good show.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so now we really test the merits of my skill set in terms of whether or not I can rant and whether or not I can hold an audience with no notes. It's weird. You go into shows like this, right? Typically when I go into solo hosted shows, I have like a long list of things that I know I want to talk about, right? I got these certain set talking points. I go in my MBRs and we get to ranting. Well, in shows like today, I almost compare it to like a red zone type of event, right? You're just tracking the news and covering the events. And you try to slot in things like a Malachi Starks interview at 1:30. But if you can't get him, you can't get him. And if he pushes back on you, he pushes back on you because he's got a final exam. And then you just have to sit here and freelance for a little bit. So that is what it is. But, Georgia, I think today handled business really, really early in the morning, right? I tweeted about it this morning. I thought it was interesting how Kirby almost like got his business done, like got the non-questions out of the way and just had everyone that he knew or that was 100% bought in get that paperwork in this morning, get it in the AM block. Let's be done with it, right? Now we sit here, and I think at this point they've turned in 19 letters of intent, and I think they've got up to 25, 26 spots. So there's still some question marks remaining. I know I had some questions in the YouTube comment section about timetables the rest of the day, right? So there are very few question marks remaining, Marvin Jones being one of them. I believe that's going to be around 4:35, 4:40 today. Don't know where that's being streamed, where that's being broadcasted. Sure, you can find it pretty quickly. We'll keep you up to date and posted on that here, though. However, Shamar Stewart is going to be in February, as is James Pierce, Ernest Green, and Kristen Miller. Ernest Green and Kristen Miller, I believe, are going to be All-American Day commitments. So those are two guys Georgia's obviously heavily involved in. We'll see what the end of today looks like in terms of how much space they have remaining come February's signing period. They've already had to bump a few guys into that signing period to make room for guys in this window to get guys early enrolled. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Haven't heard from Sean Washington. No, I believe we do have a letter of intent from Sean today. So getting some questions about Marquise Groves Killer Brew in the YouTube comment section right now. We told you guys about this one on Patreon this morning over there, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Got some phone calls late last night about some rumblings of a potential flip or a potential, backing off of the commitment from Groves Killer Brew. Number one commit in the 2022 class in terms of first guy in the class. I think he was an early May 2020 commit into this class. So committed under Charlton Warren, in fact. So he's gone through the entire defensive backs coaching change during his time as a Georgia commit. And it looks like here late in the class or late in the cycle, things are getting a little shaky. And it sounds like, as the YouTube commenters are mentioning right now, there's a potential for a trade and swap. I give you Marquise Groves Killer Brew, Texas A&M. You give me back Deion Smoke Bowie. It kind of seems like that might be something that's going on. I've been told that Deion Smoke Bowie is being talked to by the University of Georgia in terms of coming to play wide receiver, which personally, for me, if you go watch his tape, which we're going to do a little bit of today in terms of watching tape, especially it depends on when Malachi may or may not show up. When you look at the tape, to me, I always thought he was a better or more projectable skill player with the ball in his hands than he even was as a corner. So I kind of like the idea of a potential swap in terms of flips there between Marquise Groves Killer Brew and Smoke Bowie. So that would be very, very interesting in my opinion. So let's I guess we can open it up to YouTube commenters. While we're waiting, we'll take 5-6 minutes here of YouTube comments. I think we're at the point now where you can tell I have no plan here, except for a couple of good guests, a couple of good interviews. We'll hold them as long as they're entertaining, and then we'll get them out, right? And in the meantime, you'll hear me gabble on about everything else and wait for news to drop. So I'm seeing Jahmyr Gibbs to Alabama in the YouTube comments. That would be big, especially with Tank coming back to Auburn. Seems like Jahmyr Gibbs is the biggest remaining name out on the transfer portal in terms of the running back position. But that is the question for Jonathan Waters. He says, would Jahmyr Gibbs make sense at Georgia with White and Cook gone? No running back has really made a strong case to be the guy outside of those two. That is true. Look, I do think Georgia's, this is like the fourth time I put that cup of coffee back down. I do think there is a potential for Georgia to kick some tires in the portal with regards to the running back position. I understand that Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton are super, super talented running backs. Super talented running backs. Neither of which, this is just the facts. Neither of which have remained healthy despite not having been the guy, right? Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh are third and fourth on the totem pole and have been for 2 years, the last 2 years. Both of them have been banged up for the better part of the last 2 years. Call it bad luck. Call it whatever you want. It's the God's honest truth and the reality of the situation. So when that is the case, when that situation presents itself, and you're going to have some attrition at the position, you need to go recruit it really well. They have in 2022 with Branson Robinson, and that's another name we haven't heard about today, Jordan James. That's what you have to do, and you probably might need to look into getting some experienced guys via the portal. So you're definitely going to see some tires getting kicked there. Julian Humphrey has signed his national letter of intent and sent it into Georgia. So that one is done and sealed, even though Florida gave it a scare and a push late. And I'll tell you this, man, I have been very, very hard on Florida and their athletic administration. Pardon me for a second. I have been hard on them, okay? And there's reasons for it. I don't think they've been very committed in terms of, in years past, committing to what it takes to recruit in the SEC. And especially nowadays with NIL, these things are very, very important, correct? They are playing ball now, okay? Big time. They are playing ball now, And that means they're going to make runs at guys like this late in cycles. Okay. They know what they're doing. You don't go get Corey Raymond from LSU and not know how to recruit the SEC way. Okay. That's just not. Look at the names and the recruits that guy has landed, especially at the defensive backfield, which is a spot that Julian Humphrey plays. Okay. They are making a legit push for Kamari Wilson, and we're going to have to watch that closely at 4:00. And honestly, the later it goes, the more I'm sitting here thinking it's a 50-50 coin flip, even though for 99.9% of that recruitment, I felt like you can consider him a quote-unquote lock in the Georgia class. Same thing for Shamar James. They are getting into these things late with this new coaching staff, okay? They have brought in some dudes, some guys that know what they're doing. All right. And they're not only going to have to be great at recruiting high school players right now with their class and the way that it was left in terms of the roster construction, they're going to have to go out and be great in the portal as well. And they have an opportunity to do that. I am fascinated, A, by how many people are here today, but B, I don't think we ever realized the phenomenon that Twitter spaces were going to be. I mean, if we're being honest, this Florida State Twitter space I was listening to it today. First of all, tremendous content, quite hilarious, especially if you're invested in anything with regards to historical college football like the Florida State program. But Twitter Spaces, a phenomenal thing, man. There's so many different ways nowadays for content creators to get out and engage not only with their audience, but to create, solid and enjoyable content. So certainly there. Let's see here. Any more questions? We'll get to them. How solid is Jordan James? I'll be honest, P. Rich. I got into, I shouldn't say I got into, about, I'd say a month or two ago, my spidey senses started tingling a little bit about with regards to that one. Hey, just like pay attention. Space is a little tight. You guys use that word process. I hate it, but I know it's the reality of college football and recruiting. I was, kind of tipped off that might be something that happens until I saw Dale McGee go up to Tennessee to see him. Normally, when you see that before early National Signing Day, a trip to the house, an in-home visit, normally that means like he's good to go. He's in the class. He's certainly a take, and he'll end up in the class. Prime example, you didn't see an in-home visit to Tyree West, right? Not that I know of. It wasn't on Twitter. It wasn't on social media. It wasn't, right? But his official visits to Tennessee, Florida State, and Auburn certainly were. Right. So that's how those things get tipped off to me. I haven't seen anything other than maybe they get tight for space, reasons for thinking Jordan James is out of this class. I would think really, really solid. We'll see when it happens. I've also been told that there's a possibility he's a push to February as well. So there's a bunch of different ways that one can go. Brooks says UGA going to get Kamari. Speaking of Kamari Wilson, we just talked about this just a little bit. I'm at a coin toss right now, just as we come down to the wire. And we got a long time to go. We still got 2.5 hours before he even starts the process of getting into a commitment. So we'll see about that. But yeah, Malachi Starks is not officially late yet, which is good news. It is now 1:30. So that makes him officially late. But it is what it is. We'll give him a break, right? Early National Signing Day and final exam and early enrollment to Georgia. It was funny. I'll tell you a story. I was texting some guys to get them booked onto here, right? To get them on here and get them some interviews and let you guys potentially ask them some questions to get to know the football players that are about to, wear the red and black for your favorite school. Or in the case of a guy like Kristen, still one of the highest remaining prospects. And I was reaching out to some guys to get them onto the show. And I text Oscar Delp and I said, Oscar, do you want to come on? We're going to have so-and-so. We're going to have all these guys. It's going to be a couple thousand people probably end up watching it. Do you want to come on? We'd love to have you. And he was like, I'd love to do it, but tomorrow's kind of a busy day for me. I have to sign and then basically go directly to Athens and start practice for bowl practices. So yeah, these early enrollees, man, there is not much downtime. There's not much time for them to think or, actually absorb what is happening. And life comes at you fast when you're making these decisions. So definitely an interesting day and an exciting day for a lot of these kids, but daggum, a super, super stressful day. I can only imagine. I mean, it's nice to be wanted, right? But sometimes it's not. Here we go. A little bit more. What are your thoughts on all the DBs? Brandon, let's be a little bit more specific. I'll address it this way. What do I think? You can answer it multiple ways. What do I think happens to the class? What do I think of each individual player? There's a variety of ways I could address this question. I'll address it in this fashion by telling you who I think ends up in the class. I've already told you I think Kamari Wilson is a 50-50 coin flip at this point. You already got Malachi Starks, Jaheim Singletary solidified, Dalen Everett in the class with an LOI, Julian Humphrey the same, and Ja'Cory Thomas, I believe, is solidified as well. So there's already 6 in the class. And, well, Kamari Wilson would be 6 in the class. And you're waiting to see what happens with Marquise Groves-Killebrew. That would be 7. So that's a bunch. There's a bunch of good football players that could potentially be in Georgia's class. And you needed every single one of them. I think that's the key about this year, right? You knew what happened in terms of the attrition at the safety and the cornerback position this offseason at the University of Georgia. You had 7 or 8 guys off the roster from a year ago. So you knew you had to restack the room, and they did it really, really quickly here in this 2022 class. We'll see how they finish, again, with Kamari Wilson and what ends up happening with Marquise Groves-Killebrew. And I'm not here to break news, but I'm under the impression that one's – I don't do the crystal balls, but I would do the crystal ball right about now. MGK to MU. That's what I've been told. That's what I know. That's what I'm quote unquote reporting here. We'll see how it shakes out. I'm just telling you, man, he's been committed to the University of Georgia since March of 2020. And of all people, there's no LOI from him right now at the University of Georgia. Your spidey senses should be tingling. Your antennas should be up. Everyone else that has been a long-term, non-shakeable commit has their LOI in today. Okay? They're in. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Or they've already announced that they won't be in until February, Darius Smith. The rest of the guys turned them in. Got 19 of them and 2 announcements of a delayed sign come February. So the rest of the guys, if it's not in yet, they're still yet to make a decision, or you need to be paying attention. One or the other, right? And here's the deal. I don't think you're going to get any type of public announcement or anything along the lines for Marquise Groves-Killebrew. What's going to happen is someone's going to get the green light from a coaching staff to tell them that they just received an LOI. That's how these things break, okay? Some media member is going to get a direct message saying, we just received so-and-so's letter of intent. I promise you. And then the story will break, okay? Until then, we're all just kind of sitting on our hands. Thoughts on Bell pushing his announcement back until February? Again, look, I think these announcements, right? I don't think Dylan Bell's going anywhere. I don't think Darius Smith's going anywhere. I think they're members of this University of Georgia 2022 class. But what you have to understand is roster management involves space management. You have to find the room for these guys, right? You have to find the assets for these guys, the scholarships for these guys. And you're going to need, come February, when a new signing day comes around, right? And come July, when a new enrollment period comes around, you're going to have more room on your roster because you're going to have a bunch of people leave. You are. Whether it be the transfer portal or the NFL draft, you're going to have guys leave. So the roster and the scholarship availability is going to be made a little bit better come July, which means if that's the case, you need to sign in February, okay? I see a bunch of discussion about whether or not Darian Kendrick's going to the NFL. I was told prior to the season that was a decision based off whether or not he will be a first-round draft pick. I'm calling boo hockey on that because when he gets a second or third-round evaluation this year, I bet he takes it. I bet he takes it. So we'll see. I mean, we will see about that. And I do think there is a possibility that he's on that fringe of first-round draft pick. I mean, if no offense to Noah Igbinoghene. I mean, I respect you enough to have learned the pronunciation of your last name. But no offense to Noah Igbinoghene. But he was a first-round draft pick out of Auburn after having only played defensive back for 18 games. So this guy, the former 5-star, having spent 3 years as a borderline All-American corner, yeah, he's probably a fringe first-round draft pick. And if that's the case, you probably take the odds on that one. Marvin Jones comparison says Jesse Awuah. Hope I pronounced that correctly. I was watching him the other night, rewatching him rather. I get some Jermaine Johnson vibes, right? He's big, he's long, He moves really, really well for a guy that's 6'5", 240, or projects as 6'5", 240. I'm really bullish on him. The only issue, okay, that I get from people that I talk to in that area, because I don't get to see South Florida guys a lot, right? American Heritage. I don't get down there a ton. The only issue I've had from the people that I've talked to that have watched him play is he can kind of be a little touch and go in the efforts department. And, we'll see, right? He has the ceiling of an elite edge rusher, which is worth taking a chance on, right? He goes to the programs that we're thinking about, right? If this is a Bama, Georgia discussion, I lean on it's going to go one or two ways. He's going to be great or he's going to fizzle out. Like, that's the only one or two ways touch and go guys go at programs like that. They either become great or they don't stay there. They go elsewhere to be a touch and go guy. So we'll see. But the other debates, right, the other schools that might be linked, like USC, I don't know if Marvin Jones is going to reach the pinnacle of greatness at USC, if I'm being 100% honest. Okay. I think from what I've been told, he kind of Bama, if he's going to be a first-round draft pick, reach the ceiling, reach the potential that we think he can as a scouting industry, it needs to be one of these places that's notorious for making sure you're playing hard, making sure you're practicing hard, making sure you're going about doing your business that way. So that would be my comp, Jermaine Johnson, and we'll see how it works out. Deion Bowie returns to UGA. We've kind of addressed this already. It seems to be kind of what's happening, and I don't want this to turn into nothing but a Q&A session, but it is what it is. If we can't get our guests to hop in here, then we can't do it. It is what it is. We'll do 4 hours of Q&A. I don't care. We'll spend time with you guys all day. Should we watch some film? Should we try this? I haven't watched film by myself on StreamYard in a minute. So let's do some of this. Who should we go with first? We're going to have Malachi on eventually. So I think we should start maybe with some Malachi Starks, highlight tapes. And I'll tell you exactly who I think he reminds me of. And spoiler alert, it is Eric Berry. Okay. And I'll show you exactly why. We get the career highlights here for my boy Malachi Starks. Sorry, got to wait for those ads to quit playing on that service that I'm about to be using. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the reason I compare him to Eric Berry, just for reference, Eric Berry graduated Creekside High School here in Southwest Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, they ran the triple option back then in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, like 2006 to 7 range. And guess who was their quarterback? Yeah, Eric Berry. Guess who was really, really good at it too? Yeah, Eric Berry. Okay, I'm going to switch for a second. Give me a second. I'll be right back. I'm like the Magic Man. I think I used that same joke the other night, so my apologies. I mean, I'm only so creative, and now we're at the point where my back is turned to everything, so I can't really see much. But nonetheless, so at SI All-American, believe it or not, we've actually got Malachi Starks ranked as the number 3 ball carrier in the 2022 class. John Garcia actually ranked him as a running back for this right here. John and I talked about it. He looks more, I mean, he's Reggie Bush with the football, first of all. If you just watch his ability to run, it's a 10,500-meter runner, okay? This is a guy that is a state champion in triple and long jump, okay? The athletic profile, okay? The athletic profile of Malachi Starks is hands down, pound for pound, the best in the country, okay? When you're talking about what the guy does from top to bottom as a physical athlete, the height, weight, speed measurables, and stuff like this, guys, being able to suddenly explode off the ground and leap over defenders like this right here. He does these things on a consistent basis, okay? And though the physical ability checks out, right? The personality traits and the personal evaluation checks out even more. And I'm not just saying this because we're about to have him on. But everybody you've ever talked to that's ever been near Malachi Starks will tell you he's an incredible person first before he's an incredible football player. Everyone knows he's an incredible football player. He's an incredible person as well. The only question or hang up that I may or may not have is he's kind of done everything in high school, but hasn't done the one thing that I think he's going to have to do in college, which is play back here. I think he's going to be a deep safety or, take over for like a Chris Smith or a Lewis Seen. He's going to play one of those safety roles, and he's kind of been conditionalized to run downhill and kind of play near the box, at least in high school. So we'll see. But the good news is, for in my opinion, he's such an athletic specimen, right? Where if I can ask him, hey, Malachi, go out there, and I know you're wearing 24, and I know you're the number one safety in the country, and you're going to Georgia to play safety or wide receiver, do whatever, not play quarterback. But on the run, right quick, go throw this ball 60 yards, please. If I can ask him to do that, something that I guarantee you, I mean, everyone's been throwing the football a little bit around, in the backyard their whole life, right? We all mess around, but ain't nobody having to throw it 55 yards on the run, okay? And his body just kind of figures these things out, man. That's just how it is for him. That's why I think Eric Berry, Reggie Bush, these types of freak athletes, that's what I think of when I watch this stuff right here. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I'm excited to have him on because I know what kind of person he is. All right. So, yeah, a little something for you guys. Trying that by myself. I hope that worked out. I think it worked out. You guys let me know if it worked out. I do rely on the YouTube audience, honestly, because when I'm in here producerless like I am tonight, or today, it can get a little hectic around here because I don't have any sound check capabilities on my end. I'm relying solely on you guys. And yes, if I'm staring at screens all day, I do have glasses. I know that was a grand reveal for some people today. They were like, oh my God, the dummy football guy that banged his head on a brick wall for 5 years in college actually requires glasses to see? Yes. Occasionally I do. But no, in terms of Malachi, man, like the athletic profile, think about this, 6'1", 205, state champion triple jumper, state championship long jumper. The 10-5 and the 100 is absurd. Okay. All at 200 plus pounds. Like those things, man, when you're checking that many boxes physically, those are NFL capable type of things right there. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how quickly he makes that transition in college, because I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. This guy's made everything pretty much in his football life look pretty easy. This isn't going to be one of those things. I would imagine there's a learning curve, but I have spoken to sources that have told me that, I mean, the expectations around the building are that Malachi Starks could start as a true freshman next year at the University of Georgia. So especially when you look at what's happening, again, to that safeties room, there is a strong possibility that Lewis Seen enters the draft early this year. There is almost a guarantee that Chris Smith leaves for the NFL this year, or at least runs out of eligibility despite, the NCAA doing what the NCAA did. So these things are possibilities. In fact, they might be realistic possibilities. I see some commenters saying that Dicko needs to be paid. No, Dicko needs to show up for work. That's what Dicko needs to do, as he's at his other job right now. So I guess the premise of the issue is you guys are telling me I need to pay Dicko enough to where he doesn't have to have another job. We'll see. Oh man, we're 45 minutes into this broadcast so far. Hope you guys are enjoying it. It is early National Signing Day. I do have to ask, however, wherever you found us, hit that thumbs up button over there on YouTube. Look, that's how we trick the algorithm. That's how we get up everyone else's feed. So that's how we show up on everyone else's, and they get to join the party with us. So feel free, hit that thumbs up button, show the support for the program that way. Do also have to ask for the first time. I'm terrible about plugging my own stuff. Patreon.com/Brooks Austin if you want any inside intel or anything along those lines over there, and premium content, film breakdowns, things like that. We do all over there on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. And it comes with a pretty good community aspect of things as well over there. Guys, do me a favor, my YouTube commenters over there. We got Cody Ledoux showing up into the party. If you could, somebody check up and keep an eye on that letter of intent for Travis Hunter and whether or not it actually shows up in the offices of Jacksonville State, if you could. But yeah, the Florida State fans right now are absolutely losing their minds, as they probably should. So I see a bunch of different stuff going on in our Discord right now, a bunch of different stuff going on Twitter, but we're kind of in a dead space right now. We are in a dead space in terms of time and when our next commitments are coming up or when our next announcements are coming up. We still got to make it to 4 o'clock. So I guess what we should do is probably watch another piece of film. Y'all want to watch some more tape? I guess let's watch some more tape. We're still waiting on our guy, Malachi Starks. So said he'll be in the middle of an exam. We'll get him when we can. So I'm my own guest booker. I'm my own producer. And I'm the on-air talent. That's what's up. Brooks, could you give us a rundown of what each signee brings to the table? That's kind of what we're doing here. Too many technical problems. I don't think I have any. Let's grind some tape. Who we got up next? I guess we'll look at has CJ Madden put out a new huddle film breakdown yet? Question to Tiff. We got spring game, junior highlights. So the interesting thing about Carlton is he did not play his junior year. GHSA made him sit out because of transfer rules here in the state of Georgia. Believe it or not, the transfer rules in the GHSA are actually a little bit stiffer than even the transfer rules here in the GHSA are actually a little bit stiffer than that of the NCAA, believe it or not. So Robert asking me if I need a guest saying say no more. Nah, man, we're gonna freelance this sucker. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna freelance this sucker. You know, I guess we can start unveiling my guys. Should we do that? I'll do that. How about unveiling my guy number one? We'll do this right now. We'll get this over with. My guy number one, none other than Appling County High School zone, Darius Smith. Now, I am higher on Darius Smith than anybody else in the recruiting industry, and I may be setting myself up for failure, but it is what it is. I go out on limbs like this every once in a while, and this is a big limb to be going out on, quite literally. Darius Smith's 6'6", about 230 pounds. And guys, when I tell you that he eats, I would imagine probably 2,500 calories a day. He thinks he's eating right now. He fitting to get to Georgia whenever he gets to Georgia, and he gonna eat. He gonna eat like SEC guys eat, and he gonna be about 255 before the season starts. I can almost guarantee you that. My guy number one out of Appling County High School, 6'6", 230 pounds, SI 99 member. Thanks to your boy Darius Smith. Let's shut up. Let's grind the tape. All right, so back on the board, a quick little switch. This will get a lot better when Justin's done working. I do have a producer today. Justin's upstairs doing actual work while the rest of us fiddle around and draw on the board. But nonetheless, let's watch some Darius Smith right here. Okay, super, super long, all right? And he's only going to get thicker, as I've already told you. Okay, and super raw, too. I got a chance to see him actually play against Cedar Grove. And needless to say, he's got some twitch. And that's what I love most about him. That's why I project him to be as good as I do as I look for my pin that is somewhere on the floor. We will draw with our finger. His ability to suddenly re-burst, okay? The burst off the line of scrimmage is one thing. To be able to defeat blocks in the college level, though, you got to have that secondary burst, right? The ability to shed blockers, throw blockers off of you, and explode to the ball carrier. That's what this guy's got in spades at 6'6", 225, 230 pounds. Okay. And when I tell you that he's only just scratching the surface of what he's going to be, this is what I'm telling you. This is sophomore tape, actually. This ain't even his junior tape. The thing that stood out most to me when I watched him against Kristen in person, right? And here's what I'm talking about. Wiry strength. Okay. You'll run across some of these guys that are big and bulky, right? They look like they're big. They look like they're supposed to be strong. They are strong. Okay. You're running to guys like Darius Smith that look like they're wide receivers. They look like they're sticks. They look like they're tight ends. And they got just this wiry strength. They're really, really strong at the point of the attack. That's what I noticed. I know Kristen Miller's strong. I've seen him work out. Kristen couldn't push this guy off the line of scrimmage all night long. He handled him for the most part in pass protection, believe it or not, handled the speed rush. The problem was, and we'll have Kristen on him eventually. I imagine he, of all people, is going to be the one that does it, stand me up on an interview today. But no, I talked to him about it. I said, you handled the speed rush, didn't you? And he goes, yeah. I said, but you couldn't get him off the line of scrimmage, could you? He goes, no, man, he's way stronger than I thought he was. That wiry strength is what I'm betting on, right? He's already super, super strong. He plays really, really hard for 4 quarters, both sides of the football in high school. And you're projecting a lot of weight on him, right? You're projecting a good bit of growth in the near future for this young man. So I only see great things in the future for Darius Smith. It seems like we're going to have to wait on it to happen, though, first of all, right? It seems like we're going to have to wait till at least February for him to get onto the field. There's some things I saw this year from him that are just absolutely absurd. And again, he is getting better as a football player. Watch this clip. Plays with a relentless amount of effort, man, all day long. I'm telling you, these South Georgia boys, they don't know nothing else other than playing hard and, working hard. That's about it. Okay? That is about it. All right. See some questions we'll address right now. Someone actually said it was a legit question, so let's address the legit question. Tim Elrod says, legit question. These 5-star DBs enrolling early, can we prep them for the Natty? No, you cannot. There is a rule that I don't know if it's going to continue to be a rule, but there is a rule in college football that says you can't play the same year you signed, basically, along the lines of that, right? If you're a 2022 signee, you can't play in the 2021 season. So no, I don't know if they're ever going to change the rule, but it would make it really, really interesting. Transfers as well. Like if Spencer Rattler could play in South Carolina's bowl game, that would be hella interesting. Are they in a bowl game? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. If these guys that transfer to new programs, when they have a bowl game, that would be really cool to watch, or at least see what goes down. All right. Rude says, sounds like Hunter's national letter of intent has been turned in to Jackson State. So there you go. Travis Hunter, officially a member of the Jackson State football program, so he will be there. Thomas Tyson says, Gunner senior tape. Trust me, my boy, we got quite a while of content. We got a good bit of content to eat up. So I would imagine at some point we get to the quarterback's film breakdown, because I know you guys are ready to see that, even though I've already done, at this point, like 4 or 5 hours worth of Gunner Stockton film breakdown, I would imagine. I did a one for just him. I did one of him basically versus Brock Vandagriff, or the differences between the two, versus the wrong term. But there's a bunch of content out there with me talking about Gunner Stockton, but we can watch a little bit tonight or this afternoon as things get involved or get deeper into this cycle here. So there we go. See here, read some more comments here from you guys. See, they're talking some Alabama issues, some Alabama, Georgia issues. Anyways, all right, it is 1:55 here. seems like we're having all kinds of lovely issues getting our guys booked in here. But hey, it's life, right? It's life. You got to adapt. Got to be adaptable. How is Brock Vandergriff? First of all, guys, Van Griff Gunnar Stockton. Okay? Not Vandergriff Gunnar Stockton. You follow me? VandaGriff. Van Griff Gunnar, Gunner, not Gunnar, Stockton. Okay? Brock Vandergriff and Gunnar Stockton don't play at Georgia. Just to let you know. We made a joke last night in the Discord. Gunnar Stockton probably is decommitting and going to BYU. Gunnar Stockton is going to Georgia. Okay. All right. They let new signees play right away. Then most of the recruits and portal players will choose the 4 playoff teams. It's not a bad point, right? It's not a bad point at all. Transfers would definitely be out here selecting the playoff teams. It's a solid comment there from the Sacred Grove. Let's see here. I see some guys that want to see some Cole Spear highlight tapes. We can get to it. Instead of asking for a player comp, let's do this. Let's play a game. It's one of my favorite games. Try to find the player comp for a wide receiver that looks like Cole Spear and use a player that doesn't look like Cole Spear. Try. Let's see here. A comp for Cole Spear. Nate Burleson. That's my comp. There you go. All right, we already gave you one of our guys. One of our guys this year is obviously Darius Smith. Let's see what else we've got in terms of not only content coming forward for you guys, but maybe some more of my guys that we can get into. I'll tell you this. He's not committed. We may or may not have him today. He's not committed. He won't decide until January. But wherever he's going, he is one of my guys in this class, and that is Kristen Miller, another SI 99 our guy, probably for us at SI All-American, and I don't want to speak for John, but Kristen is by far the highest riser on my personal rankings this year. The things that he did between last season and this year in terms of developing his body and becoming a better, more well-rounded football player, that dude has skyrocketed up not only my board, but the board of programs like Ohio State and Georgia, the two that he's, down to deciding between. So, yeah, we already did Darius Smith. We'll end up doing Kristen Miller whenever it is that he commits, makes his decision out there January 8th at the Adidas All-American game. We will be in attendance, by the way. But, yeah, we'll go through as we need. Guys, we're going to need more and more time here tonight. We're going to have to buy, or today. I keep saying tonight because almost 90% of my content is done during the evenings. But we're going to have a lot more time to have to buy at some point today. So we'll get into plenty of these, my guys. We got a lot of film to look at some point. So should be fun. Should be a good day. It's continuing to be a good day, I would imagine, for the University of Georgia. Look, I was shocked to find out this morning basically that they were a little bit tighter on the numbers than we originally projected. I was imagining they were going to take somewhere north of like 27, 28 guys. I don't think it gets that deep here. I think it ends up getting to about maybe 26 or 27. There was rumors at one point that you could be north of 30 football players in this class. It's not going to end up doing that, I don't imagine. So, yeah. It is officially 2:00, so we have 2 hours before the Kamari Wilson news, the Marvin Wilson news, or Marvin Jones, rather. And I think one other person or one other player in that 4:00 window. It's Marvin Jones Jr. at 4:40, Kamari Wilson at 4:00. And, guys, please keep me posted on Shamar James. I haven't heard anything about that one. That might go into February maybe at this point. We're getting to that point of the day where guys are either going to have to start making decisions or going to have to start pushing decisions into the spring. So we'll have to see about that. About how many early enrollees do you think UGA will have in this class? Ask John Keith over on YouTube. So last year they were at 16, I think it was. Last year they were at 16 early enrollees. This year I would imagine they're around that, 12 to 15 range. I think last year was a bit of an anomaly because almost every high school went to online school. So when you go take online classes, you can pass them and get them done a lot quicker, which means you can graduate a lot earlier, which meant the opportunity to graduate in December and be an early enrollee, I think last year was an option for a lot more football players than normal. Okay. A lot more football players than normal under a normal, class and things like that. This year, kind of a little bit more back to normal. I don't know if there's as many available early enrollees as years past. So we'll have to see about that. It's also a really kind of hard question to answer unless you pin down the kids themselves and ask them, hey, are you enrolling early? It's a question you're not really going to get, or an answer rather you're not really going to get. Steve is adamant on asking about the progression of Brock Vandagriff. He's a freshman quarterback. He's progressing like a freshman quarterback. So we'll have to see. I don't like to talk about what a quarterback or what a player is doing or not doing in terms of progression until I personally see them in a either game scenario or an extended practice environment where we actually have access to it. Okay. I'm going to let you know something. When you go watch practice, you get to see what they want you to see. You don't get to see what you actually need to see. So I haven't been able to see what Brock Vandagriff looks like. I know what I've heard, and I've heard sounds like freshman quarterback, just like all freshman quarterbacks sound like freshman quarterback. Sometimes it takes a little while to get these guys onto the field or be ready to be onto the field. And I think that's the case right now, and it's normal. Okay, it's absolutely normal. This show took all of 55 minutes to an hour and 2 minutes before we had to talk about quarterbacks, which honestly, guys, I'm proud of you. That might be some kind of record around here. Got to be some kind of record. Go almost an hour and 5 minutes with Georgia fans and not talk about quarterbacks. Pat yourselves on the back, gentlemen. All right, I think we're about to add Malachi. He just hit me back. I wonder what class he was taking an exam in, and what do you think he got a grade? I bet he got an A on it. I bet he feels completely comfortable. It's probably like, yeah, man, I at least got a 97 on it. At least got a 97 on it. So yeah, he said he's going to jump in here with us, and we'll get his thoughts on the early national signing window, and kind of what his job is now, what his timetable looks like moving forward. So. Sounds like people are leaking Kamari Wilson's decision. Is what it is. Won't be me, man. Won't be me. But no, to recap, I guess I'll get his thoughts on the comparison to Malachi, or to Eric Berry. But to me, that's a perfect comparison for a guy who, just like Malachi, Eric, moonlighted as a safety in high school at Creekside. But he was really a quarterback and just kind of a disruptor defensively. Eric Berry has one of the best stats in the history of high school football here in the state of Georgia. I think he's the only player to do it. He may or may not. Someone might have joined him since. But Eric Berry is the only player I've ever heard of to score a touchdown in every facet, every form and way you can in a singular football game. He threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, caught a touchdown. He had a pick six, a fumble recovery, a punt return, and a kickoff return for a touchdown in one football game against Stars Mill his senior year of high school at Creekside. So that's the kind of ball disruption and all-around great football player that I think this dude in Malachi Starks that we're expecting to have on pretty soon, that's who I think this guy is in terms of who he reminds me of and who I could see him growing into being in a college football environment. And the personal eval checks out as well. You can't, I'll say it because this is making him feel uncomfortable. I'll say it before he gets in here. Malachi Starks is like a superstar in Jefferson County, Georgia. Okay. He can't really go anywhere without people knowing where he's at or who he is. And he's handled those things exceptionally well by all accounts. So again, that's another one of those personal eval checks, right? When the big light comes on, Malachi Starks ain't gonna have to worry about nothing. Okay, he's already gonna be knowing what business is, what business looks like. It's about going and handling business on the football field, and then all of others, life's joys and avenues that football provides. They'll open the doors to themselves. I promise you this: you won't hear much about Malachi Starks, or in this interview, him talk about the NIL packages that Georgia talked to him about. I promise you that right now. There still are football players that go about their business this way. Trinity Clark asked over on Twitter, am I going to upload this stream so you can watch it later? Yes, YouTube does a brilliant job of keeping this for you guys over on the channel, the Film Guy Network. So just hit subscribe and you can always come back and watch it a little bit later. Chris kind of asked, is Starks a linebacker or a strong safety? I think he's just a straight up safety, strong or free. I don't think he's a linebacker. I don't think he'll ever play a down of linebacker at Georgia, apart from maybe sneaking into the box on a blitz package, or perhaps being the sixth defensive back in nickel when he's a freshman or something along the lines of that right there. I think we got him patched in right here. So let's holler at him right now. Malachi, can you hear me, my man?
I can hear you a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. First of all, congratulations, my man. It's finally over. You are signed, sealed, and delivered, University of Georgia. How's it feel?
It feels great. I've always known for a long time that I wanted to be a dog, and just to make it official, I'm excited to get to work, and I can't wait to get there.
Are we at the high school right now, Malachi? Are we just walking around Jefferson High
Yes,
School?
sir.
Is that where you're at?
I'm in my fourth year. I just finished one of my exams, so I'm just wasting time.
What subject matter was it?
Language arts.
Yeah, how do you think you did on your exam? Did you get an A?
I think I should. It was an easy essay. It was easy topic, open topic, so I didn't have much to think about.
All right, Malachi. So let's talk about the fit at Georgia just for a little bit. And I know we got some shaky service, so we'll hopefully get you into a good spot here. But safety, wide receiver, ball carrier, what are you going to do at Georgia, man? What do they want you to play?
Right now, I'm hearing more of safety, and as for me, that's like the open spot to go to. I would love to play on the offensive side of the ball. I have a really good passion for offense, but we got some dogs coming in on the offensive side of the ball, so I don't think they're going to need me anytime soon. So I think safety, maybe punt return, kick return, kickoff, stuff like that.
I got you. Now, Malachi, I know you're a little bit younger than me, but I know you know this name, at least from the state of Georgia, as a defensive back. But I've compared you to Eric Berry in your high school career. Both of you guys option quarterbacks. Both of you going to SEC programs to play safety. A, what do you think about that comparison? And B, is there a specific player that maybe you grew up modeling your game after?
I think that's a great comparison. It's an honor to be compared to him. I don't know too much history, but I know enough to know that that's a very popular name, and it's one to be thankful for that I'm connected with. So just that whole opportunity thing, that's huge for me.
Absolutely. So Malachi, what's the time? And I'll let you go because I know you're busy. But what's the timetable look like for you moving forward? I know you're an early enrollee. I'm sure you're expected to be on campus soon. But what's your timetable looking like moving forward?
My last exam is to Friday, and if all my stuff gets sent in and they see that I've graduated high school, I'll go up there Saturday, and I get to do my physical and my acclimation, and I start practice until the 22nd. Then I come back home until Christmas. I move in January 5th, and my first day of school is on January 10th. So it's about to get real.
All right, I'll give you a slight piece of advice here, Malachi, as a former football player myself. Be where your feet are, okay? Focus on the task at hand every day because your schedule is about to get mad hectic, my man. So enjoy it, man. Congratulations, and I appreciate you for being on with us, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. Have a good one. I told you, okay? Ain't no I went to Georgia because the NIL package. Ain't no it's about how many followers can you get me on Twitter. None of that. Okay. It's always been about football for that guy. And it'll always be about football for that guy because that's the way he rolls. Okay, that's how he goes about his business. One of the best football players, all-around football players in this class here at the University of Georgia. The Discord override. Oh, it's on my screen over here. It's going absolutely nuts. Okay, absolutely nuts because of some Kamari Wilson stuff. Okay, up and down, up and down, up and down, all over the place on that one. So, guys, I'm going to hold in on it with you guys. We're going to be right here. We're going to take this, we're going to take these as they come. We're going to take these news stories as they come, and we're going to react and respond to them right here on the channel. So it is what it is. But I'm still fascinated and kind of mind blown by the Travis Hunter news. But that guy right there, that guy we just got done talking to, that's as good as it gets, man. That's as good as it gets. I spoke to one source. Give me a second. I spoke to one source that said Malachi Starks is the rarest blend of a 5-star personal evaluation and a 5-star profile and physical evaluation. They don't make guys like that too often. Guys that can come in and be cultural setters for your football program for 3-4 years, okay, and be immediate impacts on your football field, okay. Those guys are a dime a dozen, and Georgia has a chance to get a few of those guys in this one class. I think Jalen Walker, another guy we're expecting to talk to today, I think Jalen Walker is one of those guys. I think Jalen Walker has as high of a personal evaluation as you can find. And those things matter, man. In the day and age of the transfer portal, having guys that are not only loyal to a program, but just genuinely great people, those things are extremely, extremely valuable. I believe we're going to get Graham Coffey on here next. We got Graham Coffey scheduled for 2:15, 2:30. My boy Dog Out West out there on Twitter. We'll get his opinions on this class. And then hopefully we're going to talk to CJ Madden around the 3 o'clock hour. So we've got some things in store for you. So I'm excited for the rest of the programming. I'm going to shoot Graham a text now. Let him go ahead and hop on with us. Seeing you guys' comments about crystal balls being thrown all over the place. I would imagine, just going to throw this out there, that some of those crystal balls are going to change before they end up finalizing. You watch. I feel like they've changed 4 or 5 times within the day on some of those guys. It's the nature of the beast, man. What a hard job. That's why I don't do it. Predicting the decisions of 18-year-olds is a fool's game, if you ask me. But what a bunch of movement late in this cycle, guys. I mean, I said yesterday on 680 The Fan, 27 last night, 27 guys. You entered early National Signing Day at the University of Georgia with 27 verbal commitments in your class, by far the most I've ever seen during a Georgia signing day. And it doesn't look like you're going to leave with 27. So we'll see. Most of the work, believe it or not, was the bulk of the class, the general idea or face of the class, or I guess culture of the class, picture of the class was kind of solidified this morning, right? 17, 18 guys that are really the heart of the class. And then the shiny new toys and bows on the top of the class will maybe come at the end of the day. But we'll have to wait around and see on that one. So, yeah, saying a lot of ums today. Keon Saab going to Michigan today was a little bit exciting if you're paying attention to the college football landscape and what happened at Clemson. Watching Dan Lanning leave Georgia and nothing really happening, and then watching Brent Venables leave Clemson and everything happening was kind of a telltale sign to me. I think Josh Pate said it best. Shout out Josh Pate. I think Josh Pate said it best this week. Life is finally happening to Clemson. Welcome to college football. Who's had a guy taken off his staff every single year? Kirby Smart. Who's had to go out and hire brand new assistants every single year? Kirby Smart. The guy ain't even won a national title, and he still has coaches ripped from his staff every single year. It's just now starting to happen to Dabo Swinney, and I don't feel bad for you, bro. I don't. I don't feel bad for you at all because you finally got guys taken off of your staff. And next thing you know, you got 9 guys in the portal, and you had 3 defensive decommits in a matter of 36 hours. Basically, from what John Garcia told us today, because it wasn't really handled properly, he wasn't really honest in terms of Venables with guys like Dalen Everett, Jihad Campbell, and Keon Saab, basically all of IMG Academy. He was down there the week before National Signing Day and told those guys, no, I'm not leaving. And then he took the Oklahoma job. Yeah, that's probably going to tick some kids off and have them decommit. So, it is what it is. I'm going to say, I feel like I've been saying it is what it is a lot. And you know what else it is? It is me sending Josh Pate a direct message and seeing if he wants to come on this puppy. I've never invited him anywhere around product and content because he and I are cut from the same cloth in the sense that we're real hard-headed. Mine's arrogance. I don't know what his is. His might be general talent. Mine's arrogance in the sense that I think I can tote these things for 5 hours by myself. I think I can tote hour-long shows by myself, and I've been able to do it pretty successfully. His is that he just guest and co-host ain't his thing. That's his show, and it should be because he's good. But no, I just sent him the invite, see if he wants to come on. Doubt he will. We're still waiting on my guy Graham Coffey to hop up in here. And then, like I said, the schedule so far looks like Jalen Walker at 2:45, CJ Madden around 3 o'clock, Kristen Miller around 3:30, Michael Williams around 4, and then we'll get some Marvin Wilson reactions, some Kamari Wilson reactions, and then Jacob Hood around 4:30, who is a mountain of a man, an absolute mountain of a man. All right, while we are waiting on potential guests to get joined in, shall we debut my guy number 2 on the list of my guys? We went 5 my guys this year, believe it or not. For those who are uninitiated to what this is, every year I have guys that I buy in and get all the stock. I mean, all the stock. I buy them all up, okay? In years past, examples of my guys would be like Jermaine Burton. Everybody was in on George Pickens, but I was as well, obviously. Jalen Carter would be a my guy. Jared Wilson last year. Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins was a my guy last year. And Kamari Lassiter was a my guy last year. So I'm pretty good at picking these things out. And I got a list of them this year. And we're going to get into number 2 right now. We already gave you number 1, which is Darius Smith. We've already talked to another guy on my list, which is Malachi Starks. Look, it doesn't take, I'm not going out there on a limb, right? I'm not going out on a limb picking Malachi Starks as a my guy. But that being said, he's so much of a guaranteed hit that I got to include him in here. I think he's going to be an absolute incredible football player. So he does get added as a my guy. And just give me the layup, okay? Just give me the layup right there and allow it to happen, all right? So my guy, I guess now, number 3, debuted here on the Signing Day Supercast with Brooks Austin on the Film Guy Network. Drum roll, please. Denylon Morissette, okay, wide receiver out of North Cobb High School. I have seen Denylon up close and personal for quite some time now. Saw him when he was at Brookwood High School. Saw him when he was at North Cobb High School. Saw him during his time this summer and this spring with Hustle Inc. Saw him over with Route Masters over in the bubble for years on end. Good football player. Really, really good football player. And he is absolutely clean, ladies and gentlemen. He is a clean prospect. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, okay? He is what I call a day 1 high floor football player, okay? You kind of know what you're getting and you know what's presented when when Denylon Morissette shows up to your roster. All right, here we go. All right, so let's talk about this. 3 schools, first of all, let's be honest with it. 3 schools, 4 years, okay? Started in Maryland, came down to Brookwood High School, went to North Cobb. Now, Most people have an issue with that. I don't. Here's why. You do the background checks on these kids, okay? You not only evaluate them as, a talent scout, but you talk to the people around them. You get to know their coaches. You talk to those people. I've talked to Brookwood's coaching staff. They got nothing but great things to say about Denylon Morissette, okay? Denylon Morissette was at every single offseason workout at Brookwood High School, confirmed there, active participant, leader, okay? The day before he transferred to North Cobb, okay? He was at offseason workouts. This ain't one of these guys. This is a hard worker. This is a show up, culture immediately gets better type of football player. And though he can do this at the high school level, Denylon himself will probably tell you he's a high 4.5, low 4.6 type of dude, okay? He is not a burner by any means, but he does everything really, really well, including track the ball over his shoulder. How about this ball? This ball is over the left shoulder, right? We're tracking, we're fading back out. Great job here by Malachi Singleton, his quarterback there at North Cobb High School, fading him back out away from the defender that had inside leverage. Here it is, North Gwinnett High School. I'm actually in the zone or in the end zone. You'll probably be able to see my fat butt. There I am talking to a certain football coach, okay? If you can't tell, I'm the one in maroon that looks like a balloon, okay? That's me right there. Now, really, really strong hands on this dude, okay? Never drops footballs. Really, really clean in every aspect of the word. Runs good routes, has strong hands, high points, really good after the catch, okay? Smart, can adapt, okay? Can play in multiple offenses, can read coverage, can change routes. He does it all, can get back on top of guys, okay? And he's got just enough juice to be scary after the catch as well. Denylon Morissette will be a dude from day one for the University of Georgia at the wide receiver position, in my opinion, okay? This is a very, very high floor football player. No downside to this guy. Does everything really well. All right, we got my boy Graham in the studio. He's in the back right now. StreamYard's a wonderful application, man. An absolute wonderful application. The fact that a dummy like me can sit in here and run absolutely everything by himself with a couple of clicks and a twitch or a clicker, pretty impressive. Graham, how we doing today, buddy?
Doing well, man. Trying to keep up with all the craziness. I still have not taken a shower yet today because I haven't been able to pull myself away from Twitter for more than like 3 minutes at a time. But yeah, man, what a signing day so far. Probably one we'll talk about for a long time, right?
Yeah, we opened actually here on the broadcast with John Garcia of SI All-American. And I think we both agreed that this is probably, in terms of Travis Hunter, the biggest and most monumental type of signing day flip we've seen because of what it means for the history of college football. This will go down as not only the biggest flip, but financially, this is the first one. This is the first one where a multi-million-dollar, media corporation and media conglomerate got involved in a high school recruitment. I mean, I talked with John about this, Graham. We're talking slippery slopes, brother.
We definitely are. I mean, if I'm Dan Lanning, I'm really glad to be the Oregon head coach this afternoon.
Shout out Nike,
right? Like, yeah, exactly, and that's why. And I think that the next round of shoe deals and apparel deals for some of these universities very well may include basically a recruiting budget, right, or an NIL budget, and coaches like Kirby Smart or Dan Lanning or whoever are going to want assurances from these companies that they're getting the same amount of money as everyone else. And that just becomes kind of a mutually assured destruction type thing, right? Where everyone is just constantly trying to bring on more and more and more dollars. And at some point, right, like how much would Johnny Manziel have been worth to A&M? For his fourth year, right? Like I saw someone make that point on Twitter earlier this morning, and it's like they, A&M with all that oil money and with the stadium expansion that his time there helped drive and the up in donations, like he would have been worth more to A&M for a senior year than his rookie contract was for the Cleveland Browns potentially, right? So it's going to be really fascinating, and maybe it keeps better players in college football for longer, which I think is good for the sport and good for everybody. But it's a new era, right? Like it's definitely not your dad's college football.
Understatement,
right.
For sure.
Totally.
And John and I were talking about this is just Jackson State. This doesn't say anything about HBCUs. This says everything about the assets that Deion Sanders and Jacksonville State and Barstool Sports for that matter have. This has nothing to do with anything else. I do wonder, Graham, and maybe you know a little bit more about this than I do. Is there a possibility that other coaches in college football can get in bed with some of these other media conglomerates, and media companies to basically, let's call it what it is. It's legal. Lane Kiffin said it yesterday. Say my words, these are his. It's legal cheating. Like, where can I go get the most money? That's where I'm going. So, we're a couple of years from starting quarterbacks going for what, $3 million, $3.5 million? We're not, if not more. Yeah, totally. There's not that many personalities in college football that are as interesting as Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders has been interesting basically his entire adult life, right? Like going back to him being primetime at Florida State in the late 80s, early 90s. So I don't know that, I don't see a guy like Kirby Smart having a reality series with a big media company. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know that any of these other guys have quite the name power other than Nick Saban, who's, also on those Aflac commercials with Deion, right? But I still think this won't become like the norm. I think this may become the norm for a select batch of 5-star recruits every year. The other side of this too is just with Travis Hunter, he was willing to go to an FCS school. And I think that there's some of these kids where, all things being kind of equal or even close to equal money-wise, like probably aren't willing to do it just because, like I made the point on Twitter earlier, if he gets hurt, it's a huge issue, right? Just because would you rather have, Jackson State's trainers and Jackson State's medical facilities getting you healthy? That's a tremendous point, man. Like I've seen, I can't remember which HBCU it was, but there was an HBCU I think it was Alcorn State, like a national title winning and caliber program at the HBCU level, talking about how they only have one athletic trainer for the entire program. And they have to spread them out across 3 or 4 teams. Graham, we've actually just had CJ Madden join the stream. So if you want to, you can hang out and do this interview with me if you'd like. So more than welcome to do so. I think he's having some connection issues, so we might have to add him in, add him out, do that kind of fun thing. I don't know. When was the last time you were in DeKalb County, Graham? But some spotty cell phone service over there in that part of Atlanta for some reason.
It's been a little while, but I do recall some issues with connection.
Yeah, we'll see if I believe he can
interested to hear. I'm interested to hear Carlton's take actually on all
the Neon Deion
Hunter,
stuff. Yeah,
100%.
I didn't even ask Malachi Starks because he kind of he kind of straight and narrow. You know what I'm saying?
I've gotten to interview Carlton once before. I feel like he, might be willing to talk to us about it.
I'm gonna holler at him and tell him to jump out and jump back in. Let's get Graham just briefly while we're waiting on this. What are your overall thoughts on this class? Maybe some guys you like, some guys that you're looking forward to seeing. I just kind of went through a couple of my guys. We talked about Denylon, Darius, and Malachi Starks. Yeah,
I love Darius. I'm with you there. I think that, he's got that Leonard Floyd type body. Like, I think his floor is probably a Walter Grant type of guy, which is never a bad thing, right? But I think that the ceiling and the potential there is really, really great. Like Everett. I think it was a huge pickup yesterday. It being signing day eve, maybe that didn't get the attention that it should have, but that's a huge position of need for Georgia going into next year, I feel like. And I really like the way that I like his game a lot. I like the way he gets his head around. I like the way he plays the ball at the highest point. The thing I'm most impressed about with Everett is just his field awareness. There's plenty of instances when he's on tape where he's in man coverage on the other side and he still has eyes on the quarterback, has his guy covered, and will break off of man and go make an interception on someone else's guy. He looks comfortable in man and zone concepts. I think that he has the potential to play early for Georgia, especially with what they've been doing this year in some of those match coverage type schemes. So I think that's a big one. The guy that we've kind of like, I feel like everyone was really excited about in the summer and maybe haven't talked about as much here as we've gotten towards the end of the cycle is Branson Robinson, right? Like that kid's a beast, dude. That kid is a beast. Like he's a baby Nick Chubb, right? Just in terms of how he's built.
To me, he's another one of these high floor, low ceiling type of discussion when it comes to, Georgia's class. That's a guy that's going to walk into college as a freshman and be pretty close to what he's going to be when he leaves college. Like he's going to, of all of the players in this class, he's probably the one that's most ready to physically play football in the SEC. And there's really not much more for him to grow, if that makes sense.
No, dude.
No, but that's okay. Monster. Like he's already a monster. He's already a 600-pound squatter. He's already this. He's already that. He's already good enough to be really, really impactful on the SEC level. And that's a great pick, man. Like he's going to come in and he's going to look good and look the part from day one. That's important.
It's not, like to your point, it's not very often that a true freshman steps onto an SEC campus and physically he's just trying to kind of maintain what he's already done to his body instead of add, 40 pounds or take off 40 pounds or whatever it might be. So I think that he, especially with Tank Bigsby not leaving Auburn and kind of the potential of him ending up in Athens, that window seems like it's closed. Like I would be very surprised if we didn't see him kind of play that DeAndre Swift sort of role that Swift played when he was a freshman, even maybe have more carries because you don't have a Chubb and Michelle type tandem there right now. I think McIntosh and Milton are both great backs and they have shown that they deserve the lion's share of the carries, but those guys have both had some durability issues, right? And so Robinson is a great insurance policy, and it wouldn't shock me if he's a guy that's kind of running the ball late in games to start the season in 2022. And then by the end of the year, we're seeing him getting a couple carries in the first and second quarter just because he's so good that it's hard to keep him off the field.
Yeah, I mean, interesting enough, I think the last freshman running back I can recall that entered Georgia looking physically ready and prepared to handle an SEC load was Kendall Milton just a few years ago at the size he was. Graham, I appreciate you for being here, man. Let's get your general thoughts, observations, where we can find you, where the people can find you on your way out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can find me on Twitter at DogOutWest. It's right under my name here. And also on YouTube on the Dog Sports Live YouTube channel. Brooks, thanks for having me on. I'll be tuned in the rest of the day and enjoying what you guys are doing, and always enjoy what you're doing here. So thanks for doing the mega cast here on signing day, and I hope it's a good rest of the afternoon for you.
No doubt, Graham. Appreciate you, brother. And again, that's at Dogs Out West. You guys can follow Graham Coffey over there. And he also does some writing for SB Nation. But if you're going to read anything, make sure you're reading dogsdaily.si.com. No offense. Little competitive banner there. We do have another special guest here coming on with us. One of my favorites. Another spoiler alert. This is one of my guys in the class. A guy that I'm going to buy all the possible stock in, and it's Jalen Walker out of Salisbury, Carolina. Excuse me. Jalen, what's up, brother?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. First of all, congratulations. I'm sure there's a sense of relief. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, I feel great. I feel great.
I mean, you've been locked in since what? Early spring this year? Is that
March.
Correct?
Yeah, I committed on March the 26th.
right after, I think you were sandwiched between Brett Thorson, Malachi Starks, and Jordan James. Is that correct? Didn't
Right.
Georgia go on a 4-day run of 4 commits there
We
in
did.
March? You being one of them. So
Yeah, we did. It was me and Malachi the same week.
absolutely. Now you just finished up your senior year up there at Salisbury. How'd you guys close the season, my man?
We did all right. We finished out in the third round of playoffs. Not where we wanted to be, but I felt like we had a good run for my last year at Salisbury.
Yeah, defending a state title, correct?
Yes.
That's at least you're going into college with a chip on your shoulder, bro.
Right.
That's
Right.
That's what I can tell you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the decision, man. What went into it? Why Georgia? I know it went a lot. It was a long time ago you made this decision and you settled in on Georgia and you never really wavered at all. But why UGA, man?
When people ask me why UGA, I say, why not UGA? I mean, it's the best place to be, especially at my position in that history of linebacker. You see the coaching staff they have here and you see the players they have on the field right now. And I was looking into the recruiting class during my recruitment, and these are guys I want to play with in the future and have a brotherhood with these guys.
Absolutely. I mean, it's basically if you play for Glenn Schumann, you play on Sundays.
Right.
I mean, even Natrez Patrick a couple of years ago, right? Plays 1 year at Georgia. He's still on NFL rosters right now. Monty Rice, 3rd round draft pick. Nakobe Dean going this year. Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, going to do it. And speaking of Quay Walker, not just because of the last names, but because of the physical profiles, for me, that's who you remind me of, man. Stretched out, long, 6'3". You're going to be at about 235, 240, I would imagine, by the time you're playing. Is that kind of who they talk to you about? Like, does Coach Schumann say, like, look what Seven's doing this year, man? That might be you in a couple of years.
Right. He puts an emphasis on all those guys. All those guys are really talented. And I feel like me being around those guys, I get more experience from them. I see how they play. I see how they think. And, then with those guys leaving this year, it means a lot to the guys in the room and to me and CJ, who's coming in pretty soon.
Now, it's interesting, man. Like, I like to throw you in like kind of into that mold that, Xavier Sori, 6'3", 225.
Right.
Smile Mondon, 6'3", 225, 230. The position at Georgia nowadays in terms of height, weight, and speed at inside backer is kind of molding and morphing in between a hybrid between inside backer and outside backer in terms of your physical composition, what you look like, right? And I think that was used this year, or still being used at Georgia right now, with like a guy like Channing Tindall having to rush the passer. So when I watch you on film, Jalen, I noticed that you've been asked to do those things, right? You've played a little bit out on the edge. You played a little bit in the box. You've done a variety of things in high school. Just talk, I guess, a little bit about how you think that prepared you for, going to play a position at Georgia that nowadays is pretty versatile under Schumann and Lanning in years past.
Right. I felt like me being in high school, I wanted to be used as much as I could on the field. In certain game situations, I did have to rush the passer at defensive end. I did have to play in the box during an option or run oriented team. Those types of situations, I feel like I can be more capable of and use my talents to the best of my ability.
No doubt. So what's the timeline look like for you, Jalen? Like, when is school finished up? When are you going to be on campus at the University of Georgia? Things like that.
So actually Monday was my last day of school. Turned everything in, did my rounds, said goodbye to my teachers and things of that sort. After I play in the Under Armour All-American game, I'll be making my way down to Georgia on January 5th.
Absolutely. You got some future teammates playing with you in that game in Orlando too, don't you?
Yeah, I got plenty.
Who all's going to be in Orlando with you?
I do know Bear is going to be down there.
CJ, right?
CJ's going to be down there. I do know it's a pretty big list.
Yeah, I honestly think it's like 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah, I know Branson's playing, but he's on the opposite team. So, that's some good competition right there. But I feel like most of the guys.
Let's talk about that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You, Branson Robinson, meeting in A gap on inside zone. What's about to happen?
A train wreck. Two trains coming
a
together.
Collision for sure.
Right. Two trains coming together, full force. But, at the end of the day, we'll laugh about it and realize we'll be teammates, and he'll be doing it to somebody else in the SEC, and I'll be doing that to somebody else in the SEC.
All right, so last question I got for you, and I got to ask you, considering it's the most recent news.
Right.
Dan Lanning taking the job out at Oregon, right? I know he wasn't your primary recruiter. Glenn Schumann is, and Schumann for right now isn't going anywhere.
Right.
What does Lanning as the defensive coordinator leaving do to your, or potentially make you think about your commitment? And have they told you anything about where they might be going in the future with that position?
Personally, I wish Coach Lanning the best. Coach Lanning did play a role in my recruitment. He was the defensive coordinator at that time, and he's a great coach. Overall, he's well deserved of that Oregon head coaching job. But I mean, with those guys still on staff, that is still a dangerous staff and one of the top-notch staffs in the country. But I mean, with him leaving, it doesn't really put a burden in my commitment. I feel like I'm still solid, still the same way I committed when I was back in March.
Absolutely. Still locked in, obviously turned in the LOI. So it's done now, baby. I mean,
right.
You locked in, dog. You're a Georgia Bulldog for the time being. But Jalen, I appreciate you for being here, man. Safe travels,
yes,
not only to Orlando, but back up to Athens, and have a good start to a very successful and pending college football career. I appreciate you, brother.
Yes, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Have a good one. An exceptional young man. I'm telling you, an exceptional young man. As most of these guys that Georgia is recruiting in this 2022 class, they're all cut from that cloth. Okay, they're all cut from that cloth. A priority on high character football players. It was a thing that was emphasized this year for the University of Georgia, and also a priority on in-state football players in this class moving forward. And guys, I think that's what it's going to be for Georgia. Okay, I think what it's going to be moving forward for the University of Georgia. You're always going to get you want great football players. We know this. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that, right? But you also want high character football players because of what's going on with the NCAA transfer portal, because of what's going on with maybe incentives, maybe shifting in the world of college football, i.e. money, right? When money gets involved, motive starts to change, correct? When money gets involved, motive starts to change. And the reasons and your why about going and doing what you're doing changes. For guys like Jalen Walker, they won't. For guys like Malachi Starks, they won't, right? All they care about is, being a really good teammate and going in and having a successful college football career that'll set them up for the long haul and the long run financially and successfully on the NFL level. So there you go. Still seeing a bunch of did Kamari Wilson commit. Guys, the decision I do not believe is coming down until 4:00. So we still got some time. Wait on that one. If you saw me wave earlier, I was waving at the wife and the kiddo. They cracked the door to the studio and peeked their head in here. Maybe we can get a Carter sighting at some point today. But no, I think the comparison for me between Jalen Walker and Quay Walker is beautiful. Okay, it's a perfect comparison physically. I don't think it's going to take Jalen as long to get onto the field and stay onto the field, though. I mean, for Quay Walker, it was basically, he wasn't a full-time starter, the guy on the roster until his senior year. I don't think it's going to take that long for Jalen. I see him being on the field in at least a pass rushing capacity pretty early on in his career. He's going to overwhelm some guys on that front seven pretty quickly when he gets to college. All right, so we still got a boatload of interviews coming up, more moving forward throughout the broadcast, but we're kind of back into I wouldn't say dead period, but a period where we're waiting on our next guest, which I believe is going to be Kristen Miller, who I hope has much better Wi-Fi service or cell phone service than his teammate and classmate, Carlton Madden, who was at Cedar Grove High School today and just had such terrible internet that he couldn't get on here. So kind of ruined what would have been a very promising interview. Carlton's a pretty good one. Should we watch some more tape? We watched Denial on Morissette. We have seen We've seen Malachi Starks, and we looked at Darius Smith. So I guess next up on our My Guys list, should we get another drum roll? Sounds more like a cat purring than a drum roll. Shout out to my wife, who is a cat lady. Oscar Delp, 6 foot, 225-pound tight end. Okay. Number one tight end on my board. I don't believe he's number one on the SI All-American board, but hey, every once in a while, you and your boss will have disagreements, that being one of ours between my boss at SI All-American, John Garcia, and myself. I think this dude is the next potential Brock Bowers. I don't know if he's going to turn into him, but by God, he looks a whole heck of a lot like him, okay? 6'5", 225, wide receiver skill sets. And the greatest thing, in my opinion, about the evaluation of Oscar Delp, guys, he's only been playing football seriously for a handful of years. This is a former lacrosse player, okay? This is a guy that grew up in Forsyth County being a dog on the lacrosse field, and then they flipped him over to playing football, and turned out he pretty daggum good at that too. He is a freak athlete. Last year alone, I watched West Forsyth play him at wide receiver, saw him play him at tight end, saw him play him at corner, and saw him play him at safety. The dude plays everywhere. All right, let's grind some tape here. Man, I just want to know who out here doing it like me. who out here doing it like me, man? Check him out here in the slot, man. The body movement, man. Watch the body patterns, how his body moves throughout everything he does, right? We call it fluid. Fluid's a great word for it. The fluidity in which he moves on the football field is extremely, extremely impressive for a player his size. It's why I believe that Brock Bowers is the perfect comparison for him, because of what these guys can do after the catch. Guys, this is against Mays High School. There's a lot of speed on the field at Mays High School, okay? He just ran by them all at 6'5", 225 pounds. The dude is big, he is fast, he is physical, and he can get after it, okay? The other thing that I love about Oscar, and the reason he's one of my guys, is because he's one of these dudes that knows he's a dude. And some people may not like that, okay? Some people might say it's cocky, it's arrogant. It is what it is. I love it in a football player. I want my football players to know they're good. I want my football players to know that they can do stuff like this going across the middle of the field. And this is what he will do at Georgia. This is what Georgia's done with Bowers, right? They've put him into the slot, and all they do is attack spacing. That's all West Forsyth's doing right here. Put him in the slot, let him attack spacing, and hit him, right? Let him attack spacing all day. He is a mismatch. He is a prime example of what we in the scouting world, or at least I in the scouting world, now call a super slot, okay? He is a supersized individual that can play and execute an offense from within the slot, running whip routes like this at 6'5", 250 pounds. Guys, this is not normal. These are not calls you normally call for your tight end, okay? Out here in press man coverage in 7A football in North Georgia. This ain't normal against programs like Gainesville to have tight ends out here running whip return routes on the goal line against press man coverage. And not only that, but winning doing so, okay? That's rarefied air. That's special ability. Okay, this is them against Mill Creek High School, okay? This is the biggest high school in the state of Georgia outside of East Coweta. This is a double move. This is Hugo. That's all this is. They are doing things offensively to take shots with him, just like Georgia does with Brock Bowers, right? Little Hugo, little hitch and go right here from the slot. Watch how quickly he gets in and out of his breaks, man. The suddenness that this guy can play the game of football with at his size is freaky stuff, okay? Freaky stuff. I remember when I first watched this highlight tape last year, or actually I think it was a sophomore highlight tape. I tweeted, he's the best tight end in the state of Georgia. And at that time, Georgia had some really good tight ends. I got a text from an SEC tight ends coach that said, He ain't the best in the state of Georgia. He's the best in the country, okay? He's the best in the country. And here he is right here, attacking space again. One-on-one mismatch. He's too fast to be guarded by linebackers. He's too big to be guarded and covered by defensive backs. Fade ball. Get out of here. A fade ball? A fade ball? Throwing fade balls on the goal line? Come on. Come on, man. This guy's special. This guy's special, man. Look at all that space. Look at all that space. Of course, defensive coordinator fired. Defensive coordinator fired. You see this right here? Not even on the board right now. You see this right here? I mean, come on. Where do you think he's going? Probably going to all that space he's got. Ball in the right hash. Nobody outside the left hash. Too easy. Like taking candy from a baby. They did the same stuff. Did the same stuff with Brock Bowers last year out there in Napa Valley. Saying we're getting some mic feedback. Let me know if the mic, you guys are saying it keeps acting funny. Give me 1 second. I'm going to let this highlight keep running because it is beautiful. Should be good now. Sorry. Again, out here wearing multiple hats. Multiple hats, but it is what it is. Man, we're going to break some look at that play. Nuh-uh. He out here trying to hurdle folks. Stop lying, Oscar Delt. Stop lying, Oscar Delt. Yeah, you see why the player comp is Brock Bowers? I think you guys get it. My guy, Oscar Delt. Again, not a hard one. I mean, honestly, no special gifts or special talents there as an evaluator. Okay, the gift was perhaps finding it a little bit earlier, right? Finding it a little bit earlier, but I think everyone was going to end up finding that guy. 6'5". I hand timed him. Last time I caught him running a 40 at 4.52 at 225 pounds. Stupid. It's silly that guys like that are roaming this earth nowadays. I mean, roaming this earth. Connor Sweeney says, Brooks Austin, the 5-tool college football content producer. Some folks would definitely agree with you on the tool portion of that comment. Maybe not the rest of it. All right. Let's do some more Q&A, I guess. Let's do some Q&A. If you guys want to send in some questions, we'll take 5 or 10 minutes worth of a Q&A until we get our next guest. I can't even remember. I think we're lined up and we're due for Kristen next at 3:30, but I don't have anything until then. So, we'll take some Q&A here and we'll wait on Kristen. And within the next 5 or 6 minutes, I'm expecting Justin, our producer, to show up as well. So that'll be fun. Justin Nichols is a guy that handles our videography around here at Dogs Daily and the Film Guy Network. He does all the production on our Breaking the Huddle series that we do during the summer with young quarterbacks here in the Georgia area. So, yeah. Here we go. Let's hit some questions. Nathan Miskey asks, inside linebacker rotation next season. I think you go pretty quickly to guys like Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Xavier Sori, and Smile Mondon next year. I think you lose all 3 linebackers, by the way. I think you can say goodbye to Nakobe Dean, millions of dollars. I think you can say goodbye to Quay Walker, millions of dollars. I think you can say goodbye to Channing Tindall. So all 3 of your linebackers that are playing this year, I think they're gone. Me personally, it's the way I see it shaking out on most likely scenario. So that means next year you're looking at a combination of, who sticks around between Tresman Marshall and Ryan Davis, if either stick around. What's going on with, I believe it was Ryan who popped a quad this year. That's going to take a while. So who of those older guys kind of steps into that Channing Tindall and Quay Walker role, right? That role of, hey, we've been here for 2-3 years. It's time. It's our time now. Let's go play some linebacker. One of those guys, or it's going to have to be guys, the younger groups stepping up, right? Xavier Sori, Smile Mondon, Jamon Dumas-Johnson. I said from the start, I always thought Jamon Dumas-Johnson was going to be the most college ready of the young linebackers, and he turned out to be exactly that. So that was solid. On to our next question, as I'm over here taking text messages as well. What grade would you give our offensive line recruiting this year? Considering the circumstances, and this is still yet to be determined because we don't know the finality of the decision around Ernest Green, but I'll tell you this much. Everyone's offensive line class this year is boo-boo. And here's why. Because the offensive line class this year is boo-boo. It ain't got nothing to do with Matt Luke. It ain't got nothing to do with what Sam Pittman did or did not do. It ain't got nothing to do with any other thing than the fact that there was a large portion of the time spent in the developmental stages of this class. Okay, the developmental stages of this class, where guys were trapped in their house and not allowed to go anywhere. Okay. Because of COVID. So you had a lot of guys that spent 7, 8, 9, 10 months outside and away from their high school football facilities. So what that means is, the skinny folk that ain't going to the gym are still able to go do their ladder drills and run around, that play corner and wide receiver and even linebacker, they're probably going to be okay. But the young kids that already struggle with body weight issues and having good body composition because they're naturally bigger than everyone else because they're offense or defensive linemen, those guys are going to handle 18-month layoffs, 9, 10, 11-month layoffs way worse than the skinny kids, okay? So the offensive lineman that I see, the offensive lineman that I evaluate, that is my title at SI All-American. I guess you can consider me the offensive line guru over there. All of the grades for the offensive lineman come through me. This year's class was one of the worst I've evaluated in 5-6 years. I had one guy in the SEC world tell me it's worse than a decade. Another guy in the Pac-12 told me he ain't never seen it this bad. East to West Coast in terms of big guys. So your question is, how would I grade the offensive line recruiting? I would give the class as a whole a B-, maybe even a C. There's just not that many day one, my God, that guy's going to be a freak. Our number one tackle at SI All-American, Elijah Pritchett from Carver, really, really good football player. I don't know when he's going to be the number one tackle in the country or play like it. I don't know what it's going to transition like in college. I just know he's 6'7", 295 pounds and moves like a freak athlete. So he's my number one tackle. But that doesn't mean he's day one going to be ready to play, because even he is extremely raw and unrefined. So the class as a whole is pretty, I'm not going to say bad, but it's pretty poor. Okay. How does the Travis Hunter flip from FSU compare to Nugget Warren flip from UGA? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Well, if you're a Georgia fan, Nugget Warren leaving your class last year hurt you. This year, Travis Hunter leaving Florida State's class is just him leaving Florida State's class, right? So last year, DeJohn Nugget Warren probably hurt a little bit more than this one. But, the Warren stuff didn't really come back to haunt you too much, because Keely Ringo stepped in and immediately played, and you ended up getting Darian Kendrick out of the portal. So you were okay there. The whole reason you were taking Nugget Warren last year is because you needed an experienced veteran presence, or at least an older, more college-ready football player on the roster, because you had so much attrition at the position, right? You had so many guys leave this time last year that you needed to go out and add a player like that to your roster in terms of Nugget Warren last year. That one kind of hurt. Honestly, this one is inconsequential to Georgia. You're never going to have to play Travis Hunter, ever. You're not ever going to see him. Unless he transfers to the Power 5, you won't ever see him. So he almost ceased to exist now, basically, if you're Georgia, unless you're trying to get him into an eventual portal moving forward, right? I think that's another thing that has now been opened in terms of college football. You're going to see a lot of pre-portal recruiting. You're going to see Georgia and Alabama and programs like this recruit kids that they think they may not even have a close to a chance of, but they were going to recruit him. They're going to spend quality time with him and his family. They're going to show a great impersonation or a great impression of what it is that their program is all about. And when they think, or when they do happen to enter the portal, guess who's going to be right there and say, hey, man, remember when we went on a few dates back a couple years ago? That sure was fun, wasn't it? Think we should start dating again? I think so too. That's what I think a lot of these programs are doing right now. They're pre-portal recruiting. I think that was the main reason why Georgia went as hard as they did right now with Travis Hunter. It always looked dim for Georgia. It always did. They were always the outside team looking in. We thought maybe there was a potential for them to flip Hunter away from Florida State, but it always looked like he was pretty hell-bent on going there. We had no idea this Jackson State thing was a possibility until this morning, basically. So you never really thought you had a chance, and you were always kind of just giving him a great impression in case he hit the portal in the coming years, which I think is still a possibility. How can he be the number 2 tight end in the state? I have no clue. He's talking about Oscar Delp was Frank Hilton. Gucci Gook says biggest portions of need in the transfer portal. I think running back and outside linebacker right now is probably where you're, going. You need an edge rusher. I think personally, I think you need an edge rusher. I know you've recruited it pretty well, but you need some proven commodities at that position. What's the best county in Georgia for recruiting? Gwinnett, not even close. I spend majority of my time on Friday nights in Gwinnett County for this reason. There is one of me. I am tasked with the entire state of Georgia in terms of recruiting for SI All-American, and that means I spend time in Gwinnett County. I do, okay? Especially when Grayson's good. When Grayson's great, like they were last year, my job is so easy. There are 40 Division I caliber football players on any given high school football field that Grayson High School is on in years past. So you go to those football games. People will call you biased. They will say you are in bed with Grayson, and you just have to respond to them. No, I am very time efficient and time oriented, which means I spend my time in Gwinnett County. Yeah. And every once in a while, I'll take a trip down to South Georgia. Went down to Lee County this year. They treated me phenomenally. Okay. Before I could even get to tell them who I was or what I was doing or who I was working with, even having already called the athletic director, I think I was offered a hot dog, a hamburger, some water, and, told where the restrooms were, given a full tour of the indoor practice facility. And then they were like, oh, by the way, what's your name? And I'm like, you guys are nice down here, man. But no, I'll make trips every once in a while. South Georgia, Gwinnett County will always be prime real estate for recruiting. Paul White asks, do you think next season Kirby will lean more on this offense, more with having a lot of turnover on the defense next year? Basically, with projected defensive decline, do you think he's going to ask or require his offense to be more explosive? That would make a little sense, right? So, yeah, probably a little give and take there, I would imagine. Adam Rayburn says, any word that Stetson returns next year? I personally think that JT and Beck are gone via transfer. I might put an entire ban on the words. Is there a way we can do that, Justin? Is there a way we can shadow ban specific words?
Yeah, I think so. Let's do
it. Shadow ban JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett in my YouTube comments, please. Fun conversations the first time you have them. The 999th time you have them, painstaking. Painstaking. Let's see here. The best ever class at Georgia. It's a great question. I'm going to go maybe for me, it's 17. That Richard account, Andrew Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, DeAndre Swift, Jake Fromm. Is that class? I think that's 2017.
Was that the Santa Claus video there?
Yes, I think that is a Santa Claus video. Is your mic hot, by the way? Are they getting you clean? Are they getting you over?
Test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm not doing sound checks. I would hope my
I'm waiting for the
producer's
chat.
doing sound
I'm waiting for the
checks.
chat. I think
They're
it
on a
sounds good on my
delay.
headphones. So
But no, I think to me it is that 2017 room. Yeah, we do have Justin in here, and I do believe they're hearing you pretty clearly because they're telling me they're hearing you pretty clearly. So that's good news over there. We got our guy. Let's get back up into the question thread. We got a bunch to hit on here. Do you think Georgia missed in this class at the wide receiver position? One player in particular, two players in particular, right? Kojo Antwi, miss. Luther Burden, miss. Those players were both heavy takes. They were heavy priorities. You missed on both. So did you miss at the wide receiver position in 2022? Yes, you did. But misses happen, especially at Ohio State and to an in-state situation like Luther Burden. Okay? Very detailed situation there when it comes to the things that it was going to take. Not necessarily take, but the things you had to overcome in terms of proximity to a family that was really, really large up there in Missouri and him being from St. Louis. So those things are really, really hard to overcome. And that's the nature of the beast when it comes to things like this. So did you miss at wide receiver this year? 100%. Who's the potential starting safeties next season if we don't sign Kamari Wilson? Malachi Starks is, like I told you earlier, I think not necessarily a shoe-in, but somebody that I could see starting. And hello, you've got John Lynch Jr., a.k.a. Dirty Dan Jackson, roaming your back end. So I don't know why you're even asking me this question. Dan Jackson's going to win a Heisman next year. Am I right? I think I'm right. No, I'm just kidding. There's some depth there. David Daniel, a really highly touted recruit coming out of high school here down the road at Woodstock High School. So, there's some talent in that room, and you've recruited it relatively well even this year with guys like Ja'Cory Thomas is a name no one ever talks about. That dude's going to be a dude at Georgia, I think, okay? Baby face on that kid. Now, unlike a lot of these guys we interview them, they look like they're 35 years old. Ja'Cory Thomas looks like he's 16, looks like he's 17 years old, which tells me there's some man growing left in that body, I would imagine, at some point. Why would Gunner transfer? He just signed. Chill out, people. I think that's some intermingling. What is your take on Marvin Jones Jr.? We kind of talked about this earlier. I think he's a high ceiling, low floor football player, man. That can go one or two ways. He's going to be really, really great, or he can be JAG. He can be just another guy. We'll see. I said earlier, based off the things that I've heard about the people that have, gone and done in-person evals on Marvin Wilson Jr. or Marvin Jones Jr. rather, they say the same thing. Touch and go, foot in the gas, out of the gas, kind of trying to figure out whether or not he wants to be a hardworking player or not, kind of thing. So if he figures those things out, I'm going to lean towards him being a great college football player. A great college football player. Rudes, appreciate you getting me the questions that I've missed, especially these guys that are asking multiple questions or repeating the same question. If we have that situation going on, please feel free to let me know. We already hit the best county for recruiting, though. Kamari Wilson signing at 4 p.m. Do you get him still? I'm still leaning 50-50, so I'm not leaning at all. I'm just straight up 50-50 when it comes to whether or not the man's Kamari Wilson is coming to the University of Georgia. Lane Kiffin is right. The players are hitting the transfer portal to see how much cash they get offered. Going to ruin college football, says a Rusty 40B. So here's the deal. The game been crooked. We've told y'all this forever. Forever, the game has been crooked. Now the game's crooked right in front of your face. And some people are going to get made real, real queasy by this. They're going to get made uneasy by this. And it is what it is. But I'm just here to tell you, in like 2, 3, maybe 4 years, the term revenue split is probably coming and making its way to college football. It's the reality, guys. The term revenue split is coming. Players are going to be basically put on salary. They're going to be salary employees. If you remember, if you go back to listen to what they were talking about in the Senate this year, when the NCAA was in the House floor of Congress, pleading for help, saying we need some help. And they looked at the NCAA, they looked at Mark Emmert, and they basically told him, they said, don't you worry. Right now, you're going to give them this NIL money, and you're going to allow them to make money outside of your control. But don't worry, we're coming for your revenue splits too. We're going to do that. Well, I don't think we can have rightful employment or something like that. Basically, worrying about workers' health rights, because you got unpaid labor in an industry that makes billions and billions of dollars. So these things are going to, get cleaned up. Okay. Get cleaned up. Let's get to our next question. Who is leading the way to be the X receiver in 2022 for Georgia? Right now, I would put money on A.D. Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell seems to be in the forefront of that. It looks to me like they're grooming him and Jermaine Burton to be 1 and 2 X and Z next season, based off what they were doing reps rotation wise this season. So yeah, that to me makes the most sense in terms of trying to project it out a year from now, or in this case, 8 or 9 months from now. That's really, really hard to do. Justin, will you do me a favor and check up on anything relative to my man's Marquise Gross Killer Brew, please? We've got to get some type of update on that. It is now 3:10, 3:11. Something's got to shake there, man. There's decisions need to be made. Max Johnson's dad is OC at Oconee County High School. Could he end up at Georgia? No, I believe my impression is he's going to Texas A&M with his brother, Josh, who just committed as a tight end prospect out there to TAMU, even though, yes, his dad is the OC at Oconee County, but the Johnsons have long been living in near Georgia, and, Stephen Peppers, I'm gonna address this question because I see what you're doing, and I respect the hell out of it. You want my attention, you all caps everything. I'm not suggesting everyone do this, but this man is certainly getting on to the broadcast by all capsing, and he's been all capsing a lot of quarterbacks questions, and now he's all capsing kicker questions. Some real heat coming from Stephen Peppers. He asked about the field goal kickers. Brett Thorson, baby. You got an Australian specialist. I think he's going to be a punter, though. Don't know anything about his, place kicking abilities. Why can't Kirby stack wide receivers like he does other positions? I would push back on this. You guys don't see him stacking 5-star receivers, right? But he signed A.D. Mitchell and Ladd McConkey in 2 classes back-to-back, 2 guys that when he did sign them, you guys did the thing that all, fans do. Kirby stacking them 3-stars again, right? Oh, we got another 3-star. And then they go on to start for your football team, and you're like, damn, Ladd McConkey's a pretty good football player. Yeah, he is. That's why Georgia took him. So I think they're doing a good enough job of recruiting a position at a place and a program where they only throw it 24, 25 times a game, when other programs are throwing it on average 35, 36 times a game. So you're getting counter-recruited like hell. Counter-recruited like hell by every other program that recruits the same wide receivers you do. And somehow, some way, you're still managing to recruit the position at what? A top 6 level, top 7 level perennially? You recruit everything overall at a top 2 or 3 level, and you still manage to recruit the wide receiver position at a top 6, 7 level, despite the fact that everyone talks about these things, right? Everyone talks about whether or not you actually do recruit the wide receiver position well. Shaz Preston, they're saying he's going to Alabama. Wide receiver comp for Dion Bowie. Great question. I'm going to go with, who's a yak monster? Because that's what I see. I see a guy that's about 5'11", 6 foot, maybe 6'1", and can just roll with the football in his hands. He makes really, really special plays with the ball in his hands. So whoever fits that description, what I just laid out, it's him. Okay? That's him. I'm going to shoot my boy Kristen Miller a text message, see what his status is.
Man, it's pretty silent on the Marquise Grove Killer Brew front right now, from what I'm seeing.
Pretty silent on the MGK front, huh?
Just a lot of rumors, but nothing yet.
And again, man, the spidey senses are tingling there, Justin. It's 3:15. Georgia's got pretty much everybody figured out, and No Marquise Groves Killebrew. So that pretty much tells me, I'm not going to say it tells me what I need to know, but it tells me that, like I said earlier, we need to be alert.
You can read those tea leaves there.
Yeah. Tea leaves are being read for sure. Oh, that's awesome. So my buddy John Tyler, shout out John Tyler. I guess he's listening to the broadcast right now. He hit me with the perfect player comparison for Deion Bowie. Stephon Diggs. It's a perfect one. 5'11", sawed off, right? Slot guy, tough as nails, going to impact the run game a little bit, be tough, former football player, things like that. All those things. All those things lead into a great player comparison. How about this? Check me out, Justin. You want to talk about bad luck? Kristen Miller got food poisoning and is at the doctor right now.
That's some rough luck right there.
That's some rough luck. Not only do you have a knee injury in the state championship game, but got a little tummy ache on National Signing Day. So that is what it is. I guess we'll get Kristen another time. Kristen and Carlton Madden, 0 for 2 on the Cedar Grove boys.
Well, they just ghosted. You do all that help for them, right? We spend all that time out there at Cedar Grove High School shooting commitment video after commitment video. I got a parking spot up there.
I know. I got hired on the coaching staff. Kay and Lee and daggum CJ Madden. We spent a month over there shooting commitment videos. It was really only about 12 hours over a 2-day span, but you get what I'm saying. And, can't get either of the jokers on the daggum broadcast. Killing me. Absolutely killing me. Should we grind some more tape? I think we should. All right, let's get in here. We got our third camera working now?
Yeah, I think it's up and running.
Let's see. Nope, we got a black screen on the third camera there, Chief. Doing some moderations and some changes here on the fly. If we can't get it working, it's not that big of a deal. Even though it is a good look. Change or charge battery, my guy. All right. We got a dead battery over there. Fire the producer, eh, Dicko? I think Dicko's actually listening in today, Justin, which means he's threatened.
He's here every
He's threatened.
I had, 12 hours notice?
He is threatened, my man. All right, let's watch a little tape. So, busy day like an election day, Brooks. Abso-friggin-lutely. Who should we watch? Kamari Wilson decision at 3:30 instead of 4 o'clock. So, I guess let's do the right thing here in terms of the smart thing and watch some Kamari Wilson highlights. Okay, we've got a pretty good sample in terms of a recruiting highlight from Kamari, if I remember correctly, from last year's season at IMG Academy. This is actually 2 years ago. He's a much, much different player now. I see him playing either star or safety at Georgia. I think they've kind of molded. Sorry, my brain went dumb. I think they've kind of molded Ja'Cory Thomas into a potential slot moving forward. So that's probably what's going on there. We got to wait for old Huddle to get done with its little ads. Christmas season ads nowadays, just. Yeah, it's that time of year. We're hoing through the holidays on the marketing. All right, let's get back over there. Let's grind some tape. Don't worry, bro. We got it. You are in the shot now.
Good. Everybody see my beautiful face?
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, man. You can always tell a rookie on the broadcast because he doesn't know where the camera shots are.
You think I care?
I don't know if you do care. Some people do care. I mean, the audience might care, not trying to see your ugly behind.
Shirt for a reason, so.
You are wearing the film guy shirt, respecting the brand.
It's not like you have a large studio to begin with. So.
Are you studio shaming me right now? You're studio shaming me. All right, let's grind some tape. Okay. Now, what you will notice about Wilson is that he is what we call a box changer, okay? A box changer. Inside the hashes, numbers to numbers. This box right here belongs to number 24. Everywhere he goes, everywhere he roams, he owns. He owns the middle of the field right now. And guess what, guys? Guess what every offense in college football nowadays is designed and designated to do? Right? RPOs. What are RPOs doing? Well, the run action's attacking the middle of the field. Well, the slant action's attacking the middle of the field. Well, the dig action's attacking the middle of the field. I don't know about you guys, but college football, to me, appears like it's trying to attack the middle of the field. So it might behoove you to, find guys that can attack and impact the middle of the field. And this is the other thing this guy does really, really, really well. Attacks the football, jumps routes, okay? He's getting a common speed out right here from number 2. The guy he's in man coverage with, he's going to undercut this football and intercept it right here, and I'm pretty sure he cribs it, okay? Pretty sure he cribs it. And he did the same exact thing against Evan Stewart, actually, at, I believe, the Under Armour All-American Top 50 event that they had. Also a thumper. Watch this, okay? Watch the redirection skills. Watch how fast he gets to the football and the violence with which he arrives, okay? Here he is. He's going to insert the box, retrace, and attack with violence at the end of this play. Attack with violence at the end of this play. I like to see the redirection skills, right? And how quick he gets back to top speed. That's the important aspect of things. Also a quick leaper, if I remember this correctly. Just the natural instincts to snap his head around constantly, do things like that, jump and impact the football in just the quickest of ways. And honestly, man, it's been so long that he's been talked about as a member of this class. I just find it hard to believe that someone's going to slide in here and make a difference. But give Florida credit. It seems like that's who's done it. Florida has found a way to sneak their way in here towards the end of this discussion to see about getting or landing Kamari Wilson. Here's the other thing I've noticed about what IMG does. Look what they're doing, guys. They're playing safety rotation cover 3 shell. Okay, and if you've been around this program and this network here for a long enough time, that should look really, really familiar. Justin, you've been here from day one. What's that look like? Playing cover 3, rotating one of the safeties down into the box to help out the run. That looks like what Georgia has been doing for 3 or 4 years, basically since the RPO took over college football. They've been rotating the safeties, Lewis Cine and Richard LeCount, down into the box. Kamari Wilson's doing the same thing in high school right now. Watch this play that's coming up right here. Watch how by the time the ball is snapped, they're rotating down. They're bringing the field safety down into the box. They're rotating the free safety to the middle of the field, and they're playing cover 3 right behind it. Okay? And just letting 24 take over all of this right here, right? Middle of the box manipulator and impactor. That's what this guy is. That's what this guy is. Boom. Striker, too. Gotta love that. And you got some man capabilities, right? You got some man capabilities and some serious, serious ball skills. Some serious, serious ball skills. And last, and possibly most importantly, dude is willing to play special teams. Absolutely willing to play special teams. And if you're going to play at Georgia, by God, you better play special teams. It's a great play here. Watch him bend back underneath. Boom, stick. Talk about tracking the near hip, man. Track the near hip. This is textbook tackle right here. Head on the upfield hip. Track, stick. The big hits will come to you, baby. The big hits will come to you. All right, we'll let this keep running while I get back over to the desk. So we are about, I think, 4 or 5 minutes from his decision. And it seems like the overall consensus is that it's probably going to be Florida based off what YouTube commenters are telling me right now. So I think it's going to be on ESPN2. We will keep you plugged in as things come down to the wire on Kamari Wilson. We have lost most of our guests for today, which is unfortunate. But hey, that is what it is. You got to adapt, right? Shaz Preston did, in fact, end up at Alabama. I see people telling me he's going to Jacksonville State as well. If Deion Sanders can pull off Travis Hunter and Kamari Wilson in the same class, I'm not just going to say only FSU needs to do it. If he can recruit like this at Jacksonville State, say what you want about the means as to how he's doing it, but why in the hell aren't you hiring him at Florida State? Why in the hell aren't you hiring him at one of these big Power 5 football programs? This dude's getting people to go live in Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. I cannot tell you the price tag it would require for me to live in Jackson, Mississippi for 3 or 4 years. Couldn't do it. Could not be me. Absolutely could not be me. So, the Discord going ham still. Cam Brady says, if the next lounge session doesn't start off with, and I quote, first off, fire Mike Norvell. We have all failed. The Twitter space, is that still popping off on Twitter there, Justin? Can you check in on that for me? Not that I'm trying to direct people elsewhere to other content, but last time I checked, that Twitter space had like 4,200 people in it. Could you imagine Mike Norvell getting on Twitter, trying to check out whatever it is that's going on?
He just needs to shut up all of his phones, turn off the computers, cut the internet, everything right now.
Bro, you need to be Patrick Starr for a couple weeks. Yeah. Just live under a rock. It's been a rough day for my boy down there.
That thing is still going right now.
Hey, how many people are there?
Just under 2,000.
Could you imagine getting onto social media and seeing a group with almost 2,000 people talking about firing your ass on National Signing Day after you lost your biggest recruit? And the sad thing about that is, dude, I can't explain to you how much time he allocated to recruiting and ensuring that Travis Hunter stayed in this class.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot express it to you. I saw him 3 or 4 times this year alone in and around Travis Hunter. Nowhere else. That's a lot of time. A lot of time spent on a guy that ends up going elsewhere at the end of your class. And honestly, I think it was what was holding on and keeping on to his job. You know, you lose to Jacksonville State at home on one of the worst coaching decisions in terms of why in the hell are you in press man coverage, you know, on 3rd and I think it was 4th and 8 or 3rd and 8 from the middle of the field, and they give up a touchdown with 18 seconds left. You only have to make one tackle. If you literally put everyone on the goal line, you've got a better chance of winning the football game. And they call a terrible play. They lose to Jacksonville State, and now they lose, what could be an even bigger loss, a commitment from Travis Hunter to Jacksonville State University. Now, this is pretty cool. I'm seeing some tweeting from Rex Castillo on Twitter. Let's give him some credit. This is at Rex Castillo TV. He is a South Georgia TV reporter, I believe. And this is really neat. This is from Georgia commit Michael Williams. And again, this is at Rex Castillo TV saying coming out soon, future Georgia football commit Michael Williams selling his own trading cards. So it looks like those are those Topps trading cards? That's unique, man. That's something that I've never seen before. A high school football player, obviously, with his own trading cards. That's pretty neat, man. I would probably buy a set of those inaugural trading cards. Wonder how he got Topps to agree to that. That's pretty neat, man. That's pretty neat.
Those Topps are taking off again.
Yeah, I mean, trading cards in general are kind of taking off again. I think it's something that, you know, kind of a niche, kind of like sneaker collection, like sneakerhead things are taking off now as well. So Jackson State, I keep calling it Jacksonville State. That's my bad. But they did lose to Jacksonville State, that being Florida State. Yes, they are two separate things.
So there you go. The Alabama fans have seemingly found the broadcast. We appreciate you for being here. Do we have a Kamari Wilson stream? Let's find one, please. I'm going to pull up one now.
Got ESPN2 up right now.
I have a National Signing Day clip coming right now. We're going to get that going, and I'll kind of keep you guys plugged in bit by bit so you don't have to pull up 2 streams. You can stay here with us on the home channel. Again, man, I said it when we were looking at some of the tape on him. I just find it so hard to believe that they're going to go wire to wire leading this recruitment, and then they're going to lose in the last waking hours. It would shock me. But, worse things have happened before. What'd you say?
So this is the year for it. I mean,
absolutely.
Crazy things have already happened.
Absolutely. I told you a long time ago to buckle up, baby. And it has done nothing but get more and more chaotic, I feel like, throughout the day. I mean, absolutely insane. It's also been insane to see the support on this broadcast. We really do appreciate you guys. We've been hovering at pretty substantial numbers most of the day. I don't know who it is that they're going to hear with Notre Dame, Miami, and Alabama on the card. Am I looking at the right coverage here? I am on ESPN2 National Signing Day coverage. So, yeah, I definitely am. We'll get it whenever we get it. Wrote an article on Dogs Daily on SI.com about how chaotic this is going to be back in May. SSL has reminded me every waking moment that he did indeed write that article. It was a great article. You should read it. DogsDaily.com. And yeah, we did kind of forecast the hectic close that we expected to this recruitment process throughout this 2022 class because of the rarity in the sense of what was going on in the landscape of college football with COVID. It's like Anthony Lucas just committed to Texas A&M. Texas A&M playing ball. You know what I mean? Texas A&M playing ball, folks. Playing ball. Like most SEC schools. You think Lincoln Riley going to have USC out there playing ball, Justin?
I mean, they're going to have to, right? I mean, to have a chance.
You are correct. They're certainly going to have to learn how to play some ball pretty soon. Guys, I'm pretty sure, I would imagine Kamari Wilson's not going to come on until 4 o'clock. They're just now wrapping up Anthony Lucas. Can we not get the man some strong Wi-Fi? I mean, good Lord. You send an ESPN truck out there and get the Xfinity hotspot on that sucker.
I mean, they were streaming on a flip phone, it looked like.
I know. They were streaming on daggum Stetson Bennett's flip phone, his Nokia. Texas A&M is going to close probably really strong in this class, particularly in February. Have they gotten a national letter of intent from Walter Nolan, or is there some felonious activity going on there late? Go check that. I think there was a running blog. Oh, no. He's committed, not signed.
Not signed yet.
Same thing for Evan Stewart. No signature in from Evan Stewart either. So that's probably why some of these services haven't bumped them up as high as they probably will eventually towards the end of this. I'm still, and I mean still, trying to figure out what's going on with Marquise Groves Killebrew. What do you think his phone looks like right now, Justin?
Probably dead.
You've seen some of these guys. You've talked to some of these kids. This time period for these dudes is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, I couldn't manage it. They probably have hundreds of unread texts.
Hundreds, thousands. I spoke to one guy last year. Well, I'll tell you, Smile Mondon this time last year, his phone had been on Do Not Disturb mode for 4 months because he just couldn't deal with it anymore.
I mean, what you got at some point, just start having a burner phone.
Absolutely. Marcus Antonius asked over on YouTube, says #Ask Brooks. How much do recruits expect or respect Kirby rather for being? Sometimes you got to read questions before you put them on the screen. You know. Sometimes that might be
in comments there.
Yeah, sometimes it might be a good idea to just kind of look them over there, Brooks, before you throw them
What's
up
up
on
our
the
moderators
screen.
leaving that one in there?
I mean, it's not all that bad. It's not like you cuss or swore. It's just like, hey, what do you think about this stereotype? What do you think about this massive stereotype?
It goes back to your
man?
Cole Spear comment earlier.
You mean Nate Burleson Jr.? Cole Spear? All right. Let's see here. So there's a Georgia hat on the table for Wilson. God, I would hope so. Could something be going down with Walter Nolan? Something could always be going down with Walter Nolan. Same thing with Evan Stewart. I mean, this is a wild, wild west of recruiting, man. Wait until y'all see what Mario Cristobal going to be doing down there in Miami. The Wild Wild West brought to the east, the southeast.
They definitely going to be playing ball.
Oh, yeah, they going to be playing ball.
They've got it down there.
They going to be playing ball. I think, honestly, everyone's kind of getting into it now because the NCAA has just thrown their hands up. Just like, to hell with it. I mean, if you want to know how useless and powerless the NCAA is nowadays, go read the reports on what they did or didn't do, rather, to Baylor when all that stuff came out. Okay, they gave them like $2,500 fine and no scholarship reductions or anything, no bowl bans, nothing, and they were basically found of hiding up sexual assault, covering up sexual assault. So if they ain't worried about teams covering up sexual assault, I highly doubt they're worried about, maybe embezzling a couple $100,000 from the local children's hospital, LSU at Orgeron. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the NCAA is interested in worrying about whether or not, you're playing ball correctly.
Can you get any more obvious than that?
No, you can't. You can't. I mean, it's left and right everywhere.
I just saw a tweet Kamari announcing at 4.
Kamari Wilson announcing at 4. Yeah, that's. I think the original plans were, anyways. Clay's World ask, have you heard anything about Elias Ricks coming to UGA since he put out that Final Four he put out? Here's what I'll tell you about Clay's World, about Elias Ricks. I put Elias Ricks in that same mold as Darian Kendrick from last year. Okay, there's going to be a time, mid-February, okay, early March. These football teams are going to have a real good idea and a good sense about where they are at each position, particularly defensive back at programs like Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State. And they can say whatever they want to right now in terms of whether or not they are interested or whatever about Elias Ricks. Holler at me in March. Holler at me in June when that guy's still available, kind of like Darren Kendrick was last year at that time period. And then tell me you don't want him when you actually have a hole or a need to be filled on your roster at that position. There's going to be national title contenders that need a national title contending corner, and he's going to fit that bill. Okay? He's absolutely going to fit that bill. My boy Stick D says, can you tell the listeners about your boy Kristen Miller and his skill level? So first of all, the number one thing I like to tell people about Kristen Miller is the one thing that to me is not necessarily the most important, but it's the one that oftentimes goes overlooked. He's 17 years old. In a world where more and more recruits every single year are 19 years old when they go to college. They're super seniors already. They've already been held back a year or told to stay back a season when they were in 8th grade or 7th grade. Okay. As opposed to that, Kristen's a guy that's a year younger than he's supposed to be in the class that he's currently in. That's valuable to me. Okay. That's why I think you've seen such a maturation period for Kristen this last year, because he's finally growing into his body. Okay. So that's number one. He's younger than everybody else. That's very, very valuable to me because that means he's still got some growth left to do physically, mentally, maturity, all that stuff. Okay. He's still got some growing left to do. And the ceiling is still not even being reached. Okay. You don't know what the pinnacle of the player could absolutely look like. The second thing I love about Kristen is that
when he first received offers, there's one or two things. When a young kid receives offers, he can go one or two ways. It kicks off a drive for them to now want to be the best because they've realized that they are worth being invested in with something like a scholarship, or it just kind of kills their entire internal drive and they just keep coasting on being the big guy that's getting offers. Kristen was the first one. When I first met Kristen Miller, he was 15 years old. He was kind of, I'm not going to say sloppy bodied, but it looked different. Okay. And he was kind of stiff. Wasn't that great of an athlete. Didn't move really, really well on film or even in person. And he would tell you, he would say, Coach, I know I've got my offers because I'm 6'5". I've got my offers because I'm 6'5", 300. What my goal is to, by the time I'm done with high school, make sure that not only do I've earned those offers, but those schools want me. They don't just offer me. They want me. They need me. They got to have me. And that's where we are now. At the very beginning of the cycle, I'm going to be honest with you. Kristen Miller was not a take at the University of Georgia. At the beginning of the cycle, he was not a take at Ohio State. Here we are at the end of the cycle, and both teams are pinned up on the number in terms of how many people they can take, and both teams are holding a spot for this dude. That's how good he is, okay? He is 100% going to be an SI 99 guy for us at All-American. I'm going to fight for him to be inside the top 50 because of how good of a player I think he's going to be, because of all those reasons. He understands it, he gets it, and he's got a tremendous physical ceiling. Those things, man, those things are check, 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 check. Every single time you get a box, the dude checks it. And those, for me, are why he's a my guy. He's absolutely a my guy. Corey Williams says, hashtag ask Brooks, did we try to go after Jaden Hazelwood? Everybody tried and went after Jaden Hazelwood. I'm assuming you're talking about in the portal. I don't know how heavily involved Georgia was, but I know Sam Pittman was and hopped on him quickly. So he's at Arkansas now. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much bad, I know a lot of people, Georgia fans, got some bad blood for Jaden Hazelwood because of the coaching staff's fake comments, things like that. I think those were taken out of proportion just a tad bit. Jordan Allen staying home out there at LSU. I think those were blown out of proportion just a little bit. And I don't think there's necessarily as much bad blood as you guys thought there was, or necessarily, the narrative was, things like that. Sorry. I'm reading. Apparently, there were some things said in this Fire Mike Norvell Twitter space that are a little fascinating, if you will. It's always good when recruiting coordinators at actual college football programs are in random Twitter spaces talking to thousands and thousands of people, or in the case of a Georgia fan, Dan Lanning's brother hopping into a Twitter space. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, that was
Dan Lanning's brother hopping into a Twitter space.
And I think I watched Lanning's interview or announcement interview. And he was like, "Oh, was he? That's news to me."
He got asked about it?
Yeah. They asked about it. He said he hadn't even called his family or his brother or anybody to talk about it at all.
I can assure you right now that was not news to Dan Lanning.
Oh, I'm sure.
Dan Lanning probably called his brother immediately and chewed that backside.
There's no way that didn't make his way to him.
No shot. He found out about that immediately.
There's a senior ESPN writer in that space right now. Adam Rittenberg.
You want to know what kind of text messages I'm getting today?
Crazy ones.
Y'all, Evan Stewart is playing freaking Warzone right now. He's playing Warzone right now, not turning in his LOI. He's, I think, live streaming Warzone. Oh, man. Interesting world we live in, man.
What a time.
What a time to be alive. All right, we got 15 minutes before Kamari Wilson's decision, and I need to make sure I just have some type of content ready to rock for him no matter where he goes. So, no breaks in this 4-hour thing, right? Not allowed to take breaks, right?
No, you got to keep going.
Got to keep going, power through,
No,
power hour.
I mean, if you want to put it in a commercial break of in your sponsors, maybe.
Yeah, I guess we could take a moment to read a non-read for our sponsors that don't send us reads. They just send us logos. Shout out Cola Kicks. ColaKicks.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest sneakers. I bought these Blazers the other day. Nice little everyday pair of runners. And runners in the sense that, you just out here kicking it in these right here. But yeah, if you ever want to hang out, buy some dope sneakers, head over to ColaKicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. You can get $10 off of any purchase of $100 or more. And the boys over there at Cola Kicks always do a great job of giving you free overnight shipping. Okay, think about this. Free 2-day shipping, not overnight, but 2-day shipping might as well be overnight shipping. If you order it late at one night, 2-day shipping shows up, early the next day. It's kind of like overnight shipping, Justin?
Might as well be.
You got a pair of Cola Kicks, right? You bought a pair of ones from over there, right?
First ones there.
Heck yeah. First pair of J's brought to you by Cola Kicks. Pop this cherry. I hear you. That's right. Cola Kicks the best even without the reads. Heck yeah, they are. And you can honestly support the program and support those that support the program by heading over to ColaKicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. And you will get, like I said, $10 off of any purchase of $100 or more, which nowadays, man, the sneaker market has gotten absolutely taxed because of what everyone's doing in the resale department. And they're pretty fair on prices, man. I've never left a bargain from Cola Kicks and felt like, they got the better of me right there. It's not how I've ever felt. Joseph Griffin, a.k.a. Jay Griff, over in the Discord, shout out Jay Griff, has asked, Brooks, can any of these guys in the secondary in this class play star? Yeah, Ja'Cory Thomas can play star. I wouldn't doubt Malachi Starks' ability to play star. And I would imagine there's an ability for sorry, I'm distracted. No, those two pretty much. Ja'Cory Thomas and Malachi Starks have the ability to bump into the star position and play there. I wouldn't want Jaheim Singletary. I mean, they call him Slim. I don't want Slim playing star. Marquise Groves-Kilprue at this point in time still committed to the University of Georgia. Don't want him anywhere near the box. So yeah, I think those are the two guys. Reminder that you're going to have the number one safety in the nation coming back to play star for you next year. I'm guessing you're talking someone in the 2020. Yeah, you're talking about in the 2020 class. Yeah, I introduced you to Sidelines today. You were pretty fond of the Sidelines grill.
That was mind blowing right there.
Yeah,
pepper. Ooh.
Yeah, we got you some lemon pepper wings. You're a blue cheese guy, but it is what it is.
Come on, now blue cheese is the sauce, the dipping sauce for wings. Ranch, no, that's
wrong.
weak. That's weak.
Wrong.
No,
you're incorrect, sir. I mean, we can agree to disagree on the ranch and blue cheese taste, or debate. But personally, I think anyone who eats blue cheese is a psycho, borderline serial killer. So we might need to watch you closely.
Watch it back.
Yeah. Oh, they're talking about Tyke Smith at the star position. Absolutely. That is an All-American, 100%. I do have terrible, terrible memory. It's because of the multiple concussion CTE. Shout out. Yeah, not great with the recall over here, but good enough and witty enough to sit here 2 hours and 50 minutes into a broadcast and still not be worried about whether or not we're going to make it to 5 o'clock. So could be worse. It 100% could be worse. I could be at a local food or a local health clinic because I got food poisoning, like my boy Kristen Miller. That's sad. That's unfortunate for sure. All right. Nathan said blue cheese over ranch. I can't believe it.
I'm pretty sure there's some people in there that would agree.
All right, let's take a vote while we're waiting. This is the kind of high quality content you get here on the Film Guy Network. Let's take a vote in the YouTube comments. Are you team blue cheese or team ranch? Losers got to do 5 push-ups. No way. No way blue cheese wins that. And you don't get to comment multiple times over there. I see you tapping away. Yeah. Good Lord. Blue cheese.
I already see
guys.
about 100 blue cheese to about 2
I
ranch.
see a fat run of ranches right there.
How many did you pay to all these people? You get this from NLIs?
You know what the
Or
most
NLI?
like predictable response in that whole list right there was?
Which one?
Klesko saying, nah, great wings don't need either.
I mean, he's not necessarily wrong.
He's 100%
but-
wrong. Even the best wings in the world need some type of dip and sauce.
I mean, I always take the first couple wings without you just to experience the basic taste, right?
Yeah, but you also order lemon pepper wings. Like,
What's wrong with lemon pepper, man?
I mean, I'm a hot wing guy. They're hot wings.
Lemon pepper is the best combination.
Ooh, now we're talking. Now we're getting a little dirty. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think ranch definitely won that debate. But I will say this: there's a whole hell of a lot more blue cheesers in that group than I could have possibly thought. I thought blue cheese was like an older people thing. I didn't think young people were still out here rocking with the BC.
I mean, is that an age thing? I don't know.
I don't know.
When I was younger, I was a ranch guy, but then I matured.
I
got the more
Just saying,
refined taste buds.
when your balls dropped, you started
Exactly.
eating blue cheese. Okay.
Still coming for you, I think.
Oh man, good Lord. I really want to take a second and listen to this space in terms of what in the hell was said here, because it's going viral at this point, what this Jackson State recruiting coordinator said in this space. Apparently it's along the lines of basically the part of the reason Deion did what he did in terms of going after heavily Travis Hunter was because of them not hiring him at Florida State to be the head coach, apparently. So there's a bit of bad blood there. Do you take into any account, or do you care at all, Justin, where each hat is specifically located on the table for these commitments?
I have never paid attention to that, but man, some people will look in. I mean, there's a sticker on one of them, so he's going to return that one. But I don't know if the Georgia hat has a sticker on it. I can't quite tell. Does it?
My favorites. He tweeted 2 tiger logos this morning.
Oh, that means a lot.
He tweeted 2 tiger emojis. Yeah, he did. And then he followed it up with 2 Seminole emojis.
Or tweeting stuff like when they tweet stuff like, "Oh, what could have been,"
or they tweet stuff like, whichever fan base gets me to 12,000 followers, I'll commit to,
and then not
commit. Which fan base could get me to 100K? Oh man, but see, that's the danger to me in telling these kids from when they're like 12 years old that currency to them is followership on any social media site.
Yep.
I listened, and it's not a shot at Elite 11. I'm not even going to say the guy's name that said this thing, but I listened to a guy at the Elite 11 tell the most talented and most, highly coveted quarterbacks in the country that currency to them looks like how many followers they have on Instagram and Twitter, and that they should approach things that way. And that's just I'm not here for that. I don't like the idea that kids are out here being conditionalized and only care about how many followers on social media.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of like number hunting in general, but especially social media.
Dangerous.
I mean, that's thinking that you're not as good as someone else because you've got 5,000 less followers. Like, so what?
They're doing some impact of name, image, and likeness discussions right now on the National Signing Day broadcast over on ESPN. And I'll tell you, man, I think the impacts, I mean, we haven't even begun to see them at this point. I think we saw a classic example of it today with Travis Hunter. I'm a little tired of sitting down, gentlemen, so I'm going to stand up. I think we saw an example of it today with Travis Hunter, and we're only going to see more of it moving forward. So I do think we are going to be at a point one day soon where high school quarterbacks are making $2.5 million, $3 million before they even get on campus.
I mean, easily. I mean,
I also think we're at the point where you're going to have to, if you're states like Georgia or Texas and you have perennial powerhouses in terms of high school programs that send out great college prospects, you're going to have to open these things up so you don't have things like Quinn Ewers leaving your high schools to go to college earlier just to get some daggum NIL money. You can't have that.
Yeah, I mean, that without being, I guess, an old stick in the mud thing about education. I mean, you got these guys. Now, sure, and maybe they accelerate their education, but are they really getting what they need? Right, doing that because half of this is online courses. That's like a month.
Yeah,
what's normally a year compressed down in a month just so they can graduate and get out of the house. Right.
I'm in your wife a teacher.
Yeah, so shout out to the teachers.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't give a damn about player education.
No, and I mean, there's an extent, but at the same time, there's still. Football's not lasting forever, right? So having at least a general knowledge of things, I think, is valuable.
We talked
now,
about.
Do you need to know the hypotenuse for the rest of your life? No, maybe not. But
SoCotoa?
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about cockamamie theories, right? We got a Discord theory coming from one of our favorites, Gage, over in Discord.
Goodness. What you got?
He has zoomed in on what appears to be Kamari Wilson's grandfather. And notice that he is wearing a very, very vivid red shirt under what appears to be green and white flannel. Two colors that do not coexist unless you don't know what style it looks like. Correct, Justin?
I mean, yeah, and I mean that one I could gotta go with.
Are we all dog? Is that what we're saying? Are we all dog?
Well, and
confirmed grandpa wearing red?
I could see it, maybe. But maybe there's another shirt underneath that, and he's gonna rip it off. Right?
Oh,
that's the real one.
Maybe he's going with the old okie doke.
There you go.
Just so he can get Gage. I'm going with the power stance right here. Guys, we're 3 hours in to this broadcast, and we've been talking for a fat minute, man. Yeah, what do you think this shakes out? Final prediction, Justin. Kamari Wilson, as I'm over here doing weird dances. Kamari Wilson, Georgia, Florida, or off the board?
Oh, gosh. Jackson State. Is that an option? I'm just kidding.
Actually, I mean, we're joking, but it's been rumored. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of, and not to jump off the topic to give me more time to pick, but I mean, do you really like these other Power 5 coaches like Kirby and do they really expect Jackson State to be making I mean, I guess Georgia got bit last year, but still, did people expect
Jackson State to have be a real player for the number one player in the country?
Last year,
I don't think
before
so.
This year, now they're thinking, well, hell, now what we got to do?
Now they're thinking, well, crap, we're not competing against Deion Sanders. We're competing against freaking Barstool President's friggin' checkbook. That's what it feels like to me. You're not competing with you're competing with Deion Sanders going to play for primetime, things like that. But you're really competing with Barstool Sports, man.
It's time to make some more new buddies.
Yeah.
Time to get the phone going.
I'm telling you, it's time for Kirby Smart to holler at the Film Guy Network and be like, hey, man, I heard you got some liquid assets. You trying to pay my players? I'm good, Kirby. I'm good. Thank you, though. Yeah, we can send out some checks. I'm sure we can.
You can send them out and know whether or not they bounce or not,
I might be able to take care of the 7th walk-on that they've approved in the PWO fashion in the class of 2022.
Just date the checks the day after signing day, so then they can't cash it until
hold off for a while before you cash this check.
Go ahead and sign though. It's good.
Let me get my affairs in order.
Look, drop it. It's not going to bounce.
I'm good for it. Jackie, it's got glitter on it. Oh man, we are full on goof mode at this point, man. We are full on goof mode at this point. Oh, we still got ranch versus blue cheese discussions up on the board. That's on me. The Film Guy ranch chicken wing dipping sauce. We start getting into the sauce production. The Film Guy fam merch department has really taken off. We don't even have t-shirts yet. Well, I guess we do. Justin, you got one on today, don't you?
I got it on.
Yeah. Justin got one on.
Didn't know if I'd ever get one, but finally got it.
Oh yeah, you were the one that I forgot for like months.
Well, Jeremiah's the one that you completely, I think, ghosted
left
on
out
it.
to dry.
Yeah.
My very first subscriber ever, or Jeremiah Calloway.
Calloway.
Oh yeah, well, I
I
don't want him wearing my merch around the sugar factory. Yeah. Oh, I guess after this commercial break, we're going to find out about Kamari Wilson.
It is that time.
Let's make sure everything is prepared on my end.
Your site back up?
Yeah. You got to love when sites crash on big days, right? Like on National Signing Day. You got to love when sites crash.
Well, that's when they're supposed to crash, right?
Bro, dropping my whole legal name on live. You should be. Well, actually, you got night shift tonight. Yeah, you're good. We do need to make that wing sauce happen.
Hey, I'd get some of that now.
Call it the film guy. Drip.
Look,
Just call
half
it
your
drip.
community is fat guys, so
I would say more than half. I'd go by at least 60%.
well, I'm trying to be polite with the self-care. We've got some guys trying to
You're
work on
right.
that, myself included.
You're right.
But you're just going to throw them all under the bus.
Joseph Albert says, Brooks, you still owe me $5 because Hot Rod failed to kick a touchback every kickoff in the Sugar Bowl. I think I owe about 1,000 people that money. Damn you, Hot Rod. I'm going to be broke forever. All right, so it's coming down over here. Considering LSU, Georgia, A&M, Florida, and Florida State, my impressions is that this came down towards the end to Georgia and Florida. Grandpa is wearing a whole hell of a lot of red. So let's see here. Looks like they're taking their precious time.
How about them chains?
Oh no, dude, he got some chains on him. They're pretty clean too.
Chains in the shades.
He's got those. He's got like the Migos chains where they're like circular with faces on them. He got the Migo chains. I mean, Jeff Centel's in the building, so you can see the Dog Nation flag. Shout out Jeff Centel. That's always a good sign if you're. I think it's Florida.
There's the chomp.
All right. So, Kamari Wilson commits to the University of Florida, and that is what we call a wire-to-wire loss for the University of Georgia. That's kind of an incredible one, guys. That's Florida and Billy Napier sweeping in at the last second and pulling off a really, really big flip. It wasn't a flip, but a really, really big closing to their class, man. That's huge. Any idea what he's saying right there, Justin? Are you listening to the broadcast? Because I am not.
I'm not.
All right. Well, there you have it. The first, big loss for Georgia today, in my opinion. We kind of expected Tyree West to flip and be out of this class. Marquise Groves Killer Brew, whatever ends up happening there is kind of a developing story for sure. But this right here is a kick in the you-know-whats if you're a Georgia fan. Because a week ago, this would not have even come close to feeling possible in terms of the idea that you would lose Kamari Wilson to the Florida Gators to close out this class. That's a shock.
Well, I think Georgia fans, myself included, got kind of comfortable with the old previous coach that may not have had as much emphasis on recruiting or not the same ability maybe.
I think it's a willingness to do so, right? But also the resources and the ability to do so has definitely changed. Again, man, the most important hire for things like this is Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond being pulled off of that LSU staff to go to Florida is huge for the Florida Gators. Forgive me, guys. I am publishing these articles, so this will take just a brief moment. So I will filibuster while we do so. Justin, if you could, do you have a timetable or a chart in terms of the next couple of decisions? I know we got Marvin Jones Jr. coming up around 4:40, but until then, we're pretty dry Jahad Campbell at 415 is what I'm seeing as well. So should be good there. Corey Williams on YouTube says Kamari Wilson didn't want to play behind or sit behind Dan Jackson. That's a hot take.
What is it?
That's a hot take. He said, Corey Williams said Kamari Wilson didn't want to sit behind Dan Jackson. Florida playing ball, though. That's, again, I'm not saying this is going to be Urban Meyer days at Florida. I'm just saying the days of complete ineptitude and incompetence on the recruiting trail down in Gainesville, those days are gone. And they have spent some money in recent years and actually trying to develop that that facility down there. They got a new locker room. Pretty sure they got a new indoor practice facility that's getting debuted this year. So things are changing on the campus as well as around the program and the culture around the program. So you're actually getting a little bit more commitment on the recruiting front, which obviously has shown up today with a little bit of results. But, if you're a Georgia fan right now, Kamari Wilson, obviously a guy that you thought was going to be in this class for the longest time, now going to Florida. That's okay. Well, it's not okay. It's a miss. Again, it is a miss. But if you're going to miss, this year was the year to do it, considering what you've done at the defensive backfield or in the defensive backfield room this class. I mean, you held on to Julian Humphrey, who was getting sniffed around and poked around by Florida. You held on to Jaheim Singletary. You're probably going to – I mean, you got Malachi Starks. Ja'Cory Thomas, I think, is a player that, again, is highly, highly underrated in this class. So things are not that bad at the defensive backfield room, despite all the recent movements. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat things for you because I know you're probably a little bit upset right now. But the good news is the sky is not falling. But Justin, I'm sure the YouTube comments in the Discord is telling me otherwise.
Oh man,
is the sky falling?
They calmed down a little bit, it looks like, but yeah, there's a moment there where they were starting to question things.
We firing Kirby?
I think we're firing Mark Richt, man. He's lost control.
Thought you already fired Mark Richt.
No, that's always the excuse, man. Mark Richt lost control.
Are we taking anybody to the train station? That's the question.
Oh, there'll be plenty of that. Some people won't.
There'll be plenty of train stations.
Yeah, we may need multiple trucks to take a trip there. Let's see the schedule for you.
Here comes the pivoting. Now time for Elias Ricks. There's that spot just opened up. Don't tread on me says, hey Brooks, serious question. Do you think the NIL deal becomes a bigger deal than being able to flash a national title ring? I don't know how big these NIL deals are going to get, but here's what I will tell you. There's a lot of kids being lied to right now by NIL. Come here, we'll be able to get you this. Come here, we'll be able to get you that. And there's a lot of people looking at situations and examples like Quinn Ewers, and they're saying, oh, well, that's how you get over them, right? That's how you beat the system. You go in there and you enroll early and you go up to Ohio State and you get the bag and you steal the money and you take it from them. And then you end up at Texas where you originally wanted to be all along, right? You're a Texas guy. And here's what I'll tell you. I've seen some reporting and I've heard some things about those NIL contracts. They're all private, by the way. The information on those contracts will never come out. They are contractually obligated, in fact, not to let you know the exact details of those deals. But be careful what you're doing with these NIL deals moving forward, young men and women, for that matter. What's the lifespan of these contracts? What are the stipulations of these contracts? What are the fine prints of these contracts? Because I got a feeling, okay, that somewhere in that contract for that kombucha company that Quinn Ewers signed for $1 million, I think it was. I got a feeling that somewhere within that contract, there is some type of stipulation on performance and participation. Because you know what good companies don't do? They don't put all of their marketing dollars. They don't make the face of their company the fourth string quarterback at Ohio State that won't get on the field.
right? They're not going to give you $1 million to sit on the bench and be a bench rider, right? They're paying you to be the starter in the face of a Power 5 program. And if you're not starting there, then my lifetime contract is void. We're done. After 2 years, if you haven't played, I'm not giving you the rest of your contract money. I gave you what I gave you to get you under my wing. And now you're not playing, so now I'm done with you, right? That's how a lot of these things are going to work. You have kids leaving programs because half of their NIL deal is dependent upon getting on the field by year 2 or year 1, whatever it is. It's going to completely change the lifetime span that some of these kids are willing to sit around at programs like Ohio State. I believe that if Quinn Ewers doesn't have an NIL deal, he probably arrives at Ohio State in January or in December during bowl practices after having tried to compete and win a national or a state title against Cade Klubnik out there in 6A in Texas high school football, and then enrolled at Ohio State, competed for a job, and probably lost the job to CJ Stroud, and then competed for the job again in the fall of 2022. That's what it would normally look like. But instead, he enrolled early, got a portion of the kombucha money, walked around campus smelling like kombucha for 4 days or 4 months, and then out, dip, Sarkeesian, Texas. Probably another bag. Is what it is. NIL money. Be very, very careful, guys. Read these contracts very, very closely. Pay attention to them. Read the fine details. Find out what the life of the contract is. All that good stuff. Because the last thing you want to do, God forbid, is get stuck into a contract that has a lifetime, contract of 10 years. And then you get stuck having to tweet about Joe's Tire and Bimbo's Auto Shop down on, 92 in Woodstock, Georgia. All the finest and latest in oil changes. And you're in your 5th year in the league and you're making $85 million. And you're talking about some damn tire and auto shop that you signed a couple $100 a month deal with back when you were a freshman in college because you wanted some cash to spend on some, girl that you were sweet on. Okay, so be very, very careful. Be very, very careful with what you do here and the job, or the decisions you make in terms of NIL. Now, we did have a few more guests that we were supposed to get to today that were being a little lackadaisical in their time slots. Let's shout out Michael Williams, see what he's got going on, see if he's available. I think that might be on me. I think I might have forgot to send him the link. We can't do everything around here. I guess we can try, but we can't do everything around here. That's what you're for, right, Justin?
Yeah. Okay, let me do it while I'm sitting over here in this other room.
You're good, bro. That's on me. I totally forgot to send Michael the link, and he was scheduled for 4:00. So if we don't get him, guys, you can fire me. That's on me. All right. So that pretty much. So where's that put us with Georgia, right? You're still waiting on Marvin Jones Jr. at 4:40. I don't know if we're going to be hanging around until 4:40, but you still got that one at 4:40. You got Shamar James at some point. That's looking more like Florida. What in terms of current commitments do we have or not have in terms of answers? I don't have a single answer on Sean Washington. Do I, Justin?
No, that was coming up. I think. Well, it was supposed to be at 4. This sheet
supposed
says.
To be at 4. Has not been.
Let me check.
Correct. Do some research on that one for me. We found out Darius Smith and Jordan James pushed till February. Still waiting on Marquise Groves Killer Brew. Everyone else has been solidified, right? Dalen Everett's in. Bear Alexander's in. All that stuff. Hold on. I think we're going to get Michael here. Yeah, so you got a lot of answers today. Still going to wait on Marvin Jones Jr. And then I guess you pretty much just wait around and see what happens with Kristen Miller in February or in January, in this case, January 8th, and go from there. But it was kind of interesting. You almost made the clean sweep at Georgia on Chuck Smith, guys. Chuck Smith trains defensive linemen here in the state of Georgia, and he has 3 pupils in this 2022 class that are some of the nation's best, and Tyree West, Kristen Miller, and Michael Williams. And entering today, Tyree West and Michael Williams are verbal commitments, and leaving today, Michael signs on the dotted line, and Tyree West ends up in Tennessee, and still waiting on Kristen Miller. And here is Michael right here, just joining in the back studio. So he got a big old smile on his face, riding around in the car. Let's add him in if we don't mind. That is a big old smile, my man. What's up with you?
Not much, man. I'm just chilling.
You look happy, my boy. Are you driving around right now? What are you doing?
Nah, yeah, I'm gonna pull over for you.
Yeah, let's not break any hands-free laws here in the state of Georgia, please.
Oh yeah.
That'll make Kirby real happy. I call Kirby and be like, "Hey, coach, license got suspended. I was doing an interview with that Brooks Austin guy."
What's up?
Yeah. What's up with you, bro? You happy, bro? You excited?
Oh, yeah. Extremely. Can't wait, man. Finna start bowl practice soon. I'm sorry for shaking the phone too. My phone just
Bro, how many of these have you done at this point? Like you're about to go to college, and guess what? Now we can't bother you. Now we can only get you when Kirby says we're allowed to get you. But are you tired of these things, man? I know you got a good, joyous smile on you right now, but you got to be tired of these.
Yeah, to my other interviews, sometimes they be entertaining. Sometimes they get a little tiring, but it depends on really how I'm feeling at that time. I'm just in a good mood today, sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so I was just telling these guys before you came on here. Now, you and two of your buddies are Chuck Smith pupils, right? You train under Chuck.
Yes,
You, Tyree West, and Kristen Miller. Now, entering today, Tyree and you are Georgia commits. You end up signing on the dotted line. Tyree ends up going to Tennessee. How adamant are you about making sure one of your buddies, and Kristen, ends up with you come January 8th when he decides out there at the Adidas All-American game?
See, I'm trying. It's kind of hard though. It's kind of hard to recruit because it's like you want what's best for them, but at the same time you want it with you. So it's kind of like I try to tell them like, oh, dude, like me and you, we finna push each other. Like we finna get better at the G together. You feel me? That's how I try to recruit Chris, rather than like, like you're fit. It's all about like that. You feel me?
No, I definitely feel you. So coming from Columbus, Georgia now, like there was probably some Alabama Crimson Tide pull. There was obviously a USC pull for a while. I guess, Michael, you probably answered this question 100 times too, so feel free to give me the practiced answer you've gotten for it. Why Georgia, man? Like it was USC.
Oh, yeah.
You fell in love with USC. You back off of that commitment. You start talking to Alabama again a little bit, and then it's Georgia, and it's done. We're done. Georgia is it. So why Georgia?
It's really always been Georgia. It's like USC kind of stole USC and Alabama and like Florida too. Florida's in there a little bit. They kind of stole me from Georgia, but Georgia ended up like being the last man standing. I'll say that. Like it's always been Georgia, and it's Georgia because it's so many reasons. Like I can't even name them all. Like it's because like one, the situation we're going into. It's like I'm really happy with my situation that I'm going into, and I feel like I'll be able to get on the field earlier. Then I feel like I can be developed at Georgia. I feel like I fit well in their scheme. I love the fans. I love Sanford Stadium. You feel me? It's like it's multiple reasons. The location, it's a lot of stuff.
All right, so let me ask you this. Like, I picture you as maybe a traditional 5 technique, traditional defensive end, but at Georgia, probably playing that 4-eye defensive end, Trayvon Walker caliber and type of role. And then on third down, as we lose Michael, that's unfortunate. And then on third down, I would imagine he jumps into like a pass rusher's role. I think they're going to shape Michael to play exactly who he is. My bad. I think they're going to shape you to play exactly like Trayvon Walker. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's what I think they're going to do with you. Is that correct, Michael? How do they think they're going to use you when you get there?
See, now I guess I dropped all that pre-COVID, like all that COVID weight. So I guess they're looking at me right now at like an edge guy, like an outside linebacker DN, like an edge guy.
Okay, so they do think they're going to let you play a little Jack and Sam?
Yes, sir, a little Jack. Not much of Sam, but more Jack. Yeah.
Okay, so that leads me to my next question. I'm sure you expected to get this one, but if you were going to end up playing Jack because of the weight that you had lost,
that means you're going to be playing for Dan Lanning at outside backer, at least, being recruited by him and getting coached up underneath him. How does that change now? Who is now taking over your recruitment, and who is ultimately going to end up, you think, being your position coach when you get to college?
My position coach, I'm not really sure, but I feel like Coach Will Muschamp, and I feel like he's going to have his hand in my process a lot. And I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. I believe in Coach Muschamp. I believe he can develop me and make me a hell of an athlete, a hell of a player.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, Mike. I'll let you get back on the road. I appreciate you stopping and being safe and conducting this interview for me. And I'm also proud to say that I'm your last one. Okay, you ain't got to do no more of these. Yeah. Go to Georgia. Go have fun. Go work on being a football player. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. We'll see you soon. Always been a great kid, man. Like, Justin, I know you've done a little bit of work with him, and I know you've seen him at different high school games. He comes from that Columbus area that you're from, Justin. Tell us a little bit about like the area of Hardaway and what kind of background Michael Williams is coming from.
Yeah, so I mean, Hardaway is one of tons of schools in Columbus, but it's a pretty good one. I believe they made it pretty far in the playoffs. Maybe I'm thinking another one, but the game I saw them was they were playing a school my wife teaches at Kendrick, and I mean that was like watching.
He's the whole team, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean he was playing against like middle schoolers. No offense to Kendrick, but that was not a fair matchup. There was no contact on first step. First step, he was already basically in the quarterback's lap.
Yeah, I know. I've seen him this year wear 0. I've seen him wear 24. I think I've seen him wear a number in the 50s. And I think I've seen him wear a number in the single digits, basically telling you that he's playing everywhere in high school for Hardaway. And that's a guy that's going to play really, really hard when he gets to college. I thought it was interesting to hear him say that they have talked to him about playing the jack position. And I think it was also interesting for him to tell us, what he thinks is going to end up happening with the outside linebacker position in terms of who's coaching it and who's taking it over, and to get the answer of Will Muschamp. I think is kind of the most newsworthy thing we got out of any bit of interviews that we got here today. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it quits for today. We're 3.5 hours into this Supercast, and what a show it's been. I appreciate every single one of you guys, man. We'll make this a signing day tradition in terms of this Supercast. I've had a blast. I hope you guys have as well. Stay tuned, 440 ESPN2. I would imagine we're going to get a Marvin Jones Jr. commitment. I'm extremely thankful for all you guys. Before you head out, hit that thumbs up button. And if you like anything you saw today, whether it be the genuine conversation and an originality around this program and around this network, or whether it be Justin's voice from above or the comment section that you've spent a couple hours with today, feel free to hit us up, patreon.com/Brooks Austin. For myself, for the film guy, we forgot to give a fat pun today. What should we go with? Tom Beef O'Brady? For Brooks Austin, a.k.a. Tom Beef O'Brady, we'll see you next time.